This is the One Piece Podcast, episode 799 for the week of Monday, December 11th, 2023. My name is Zach.
And my name is Ed.
And my name is Alex.
And we may have Steve later on the show, but for now, we have very special guest translator for One Piece and Weekly Shonen Jump and Manga Plus. We have Stephen Paul with us. How's it going, Stephen?
I got a crick in my neck, so not great, but I will persevere.
Thank you for the update. We have two of our longtime guests on this show. First, he worked in Crunchyroll and all that anime. We have Miles with us. How's it going, Miles?
Hey. Glad to be back. Was a listener from episode 1, so I always like being here when I can.
I remember when I was talking to you about that at a con, and I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry I had to listen to those. Well, here we are 799 episodes later. We also have Casey Minovsky article. May also know him as. How's it going, Casey?
Hello. Yes, it's nice to be back. Precisely 100 episodes since my last appearance.
Yeah, so I took Casey notes. It's been so long for Miles that I don't have a proper appearance ready for Miles. I think we had you on during Zoe and apparently Senor Pink, you remember? That's completely out of my brain. For Casey, you were on 509, 600, and 699. So that's 2018, 2019, and 2021. And we just got you under the wire here.
So we do have that pattern of almost every 100 episodes.
I'm trying to make sure that you come on every 99. This time Casey didn't ask to come on. I messaged him and said, it's time. It's your biannual checkup.
Yeah, no, I was willing. It was time for me to catch up on One Piece again as well. So
I understand you read a lot of One Piece.
Yeah, I had finished Wano, but I had not read any of the current arc. So I read all of that in the past week, and this is a very dense series, as I imagine you all realize, and or at least has become increasingly dense in the modern era. And it's a real adventure to try to kind of cram all of this into your head and make clone copies of yourself to retain the information as you go. And
I wish.
Yeah, I really do think that being week to week immersed in this is probably the correct format, and I applaud you all for doing it.
I'm always jealous of people who can marathon it, and I've mentioned this a lot, just because it's just a different way of digesting it. I've been doing this for 15 years, and I haven't got it to do that really very much.
Honestly, so I did the same exact thing as Casey. I was exactly behind at the end of Wano arc. And I had done Wano in 3 chunks, and that was actually really hard because I forgot so much in between each chunk.
Oh, yeah.
Doing this arc all at once, I have never felt this positive about One Piece in my life.
Wow.
I had so much fun this last week. I couldn't stop reading. It was infectious. It was great. I felt like I was going through the first, 200 chapters when I got caught up, 300 chapters in. So it felt like that again, and I'm so happy.
I could see why, Wano is this very dense epic as we round it off on the anime now. I understand why it wouldn't kind of feel like that marathoning, but that's super interesting that, I get it. I mean, we have all the old characters back in some way, shape, or form during these last few months, or years. How long have we been here? At least a year, I think. Anyway. This week, we're going to go through chapter 1101. The title is Dear Bonnie. To Bonnie. You get it. It's the title for a letter. Yes. Before we get started, a few podcast housekeeping things. First of all, this is our last episode of the year. And if you're saying, hey, Zach, isn't there another chapter this year? There is, but it's funny because it's on Christmas Day. And believe it or not, I wasn't able this year to get everyone to work on Christmas Day and podcast with me. I don't, I am the Ebenezer Scrooge of this podcast. But it didn't work this year for whatever reason. So we have some cool stuff coming in the meanwhile, including we're going to run 1 or 2 episodes of Four Kids Flashback. I think we'll be doing it with the artist who put together the 4Kids rap, Sean Conrad. And I'm also hoping to have the interview, which is going to be on the 4Kids flashback feed, which is its own thing and it's free. Norman Grossfeld, who was the president of 4Kids, there was an interview Steve and Tara did with him, which I've not yet listened to, and I should. And I'm excited to listen to it because he definitely does mention One Piece on at least one occasion. So looking forward to hearing and uncovering some of the mysteries behind that dub. We also, and I haven't told anyone about this here, and I'm not going to spoil the full surprise, but we have a holiday special that will be coming out on Christmas Day, not recorded then, because I have nothing to do then. So look forward to that. It's going to be cool. It's going to be different than anything we've done before, but it'll be a cool little special thing for you guys. And I think that's everything. And we're going to be off on New Year's Day as well, so apologies for those listening to the One Piece podcast on New Year's Day.
We're going to try and have an anime recap on this episode, too, for 1086 and 1087, hopefully.
Yes. Yeah, we'll see if Sam is awake. Or actually, you
Sam,
all will
Sam
know
and
the
I,
answer to
Sam
that.
and I are on opposite schedules, so it's just I wake up early in the
You
morning.
are,
I think he works. Yeah, I think he works overnight, so it's
He
just,
works the night shift, yeah.
Yeah, and I wake up at 5:30 a.m. So it just doesn't. It's hard sometimes.
I think, though, we could get straight into this chapter, and there's so much I want to talk about this week. This was a really good one, in my opinion. So why don't we get straight into it?
All right,
Let's do it.
This is the manga recap for chapter 1101, or 1101. I don't know. I'll figure out how to say that later. To Bonnie. You can read this chapter and all chapters as soon as they come out at shonenjump.viz.com or mangaplus.shueisha.co.jp. Ed, we have a lot to talk about before we get into this chapter. You want to talk about the cover of Shonen Jump first?
sure. We got Rainbow Sherbert Snowboard Luffy, and this jacket he's wearing is actually Disney apparel because it says Goofy on the sleeve.
Wow.
Is that,
Get ready,
trademark?
lawsuits.
Yeah.
Shonen Jump coming your way.
And I do
Well,
love Nami's
yeah.
slope jacket. It's I don't know. I love the color scheme here. It's great.
Maybe Oda will get a cease and desist twice in this chapter. We'll talk about that in a little
Yeah,
bit.
there's lots of ceases and desists coming.
I'd like to
I
see
have a lot
like
of
that
vacuums to
design
pick up.
on the bottom of the snowboard, like actually as a graffiti somewhere. I'd love to see that. That's a great
pretty
style
good,
with
yeah.
the dripping and the it gives it that little bit of authenticity.
Why is the skeleton? Why is the Jolly Roger in between the P and the I though? That's my only qualm with
symmetry.
this. But yeah, okay, I guess.
Skull after P, but not before E or whatever.
No, that's what it is. That's what it is. I forgot my English classes. That's what they learn in Japan. Yeah, this is cute. Have we had a skiing color spread even? I can't recall.
I mean, the chances are yes, but
high. Yeah,
I cannot remember.
As a skier, I appreciate this. Any other comments on the cover? If not, Ed, should we talk about the author comment? You've
Sure.
hinted at this before we started. I have no idea what it is.
So this is from Eiichiro Oda, an almost 49-year-old Japanese man. He says, "Saw my first Godzilla. -1 was great. I had to watch the first one after that. Next is Shin." How?
Even I've
How
seen
are you-
Godzillas.
How are you
and I
a
don't
middle-aged
watch
Japanese
movies
man? You've
ever.
never seen Godzilla movies. I can't believe it. After all the other movies he's seen, like these samurai movies and stuff, and he did the art for that one movie collection and stuff, and just
Yeah.
it's just a
Everyone
huge
has a blank
huge-
spot.
Everyone has a blind spot, I guess. Yeah, I mean he's in for a ride, isn't he?
It makes me think of there was an interview with Ryuhei Kitamura, who directed Godzilla Final Wars and a bunch of other movies, and he was being interviewed by an American podcast, and he's like, I'm also doing a Lupin project. He goes, believe me, that's a much bigger deal to us Japanese than Godzilla. So like I don't know, maybe
Yeah. Wow. I mean, and I saw Godzilla -1. It lives up to it. It's great. So it's
pretty good,
Started
yeah.
off on a good one.
I am happy to see where he gets influences from this, or if he gets influences from this Godzilla.
Yeah, me too. I like we've mentioned kaiju as like influences before, and I assume he's seen some of the genre.
he's at least ambiently received kaiju.
Yes.
Who
Right, yeah, of
hasn't?
course. Yeah.
I don't think anyone has like not. I mean, I was watching Steve's stream with Sungwon, and they were doing Reptar and the Rugrats game, and like that whole series, that whole thing is kaiju. You know, so it's been by osmosis.
This seems like a perfect arc if he suddenly wants to introduce a radioactive reptile of some kind. So
There's always time for a radioactive reptile, if you ask me. Actually, are they radioactive? No, they're not. I'm not going to think about this too much. Ed, should we talk about the color spread?
Sure. We got the Vegapunk family all together here in all their full color glory.
Sometimes a family is just 7 copies of yourself.
Yeah.
6.
And a 1,000-year-old robot.
That's
And
the
a
that's the
copy of a
Vega Force.
1,000-year-old.
Yeah, that's the Vega
Yeah.
Force one. I do like the paint job though, the blue with like the pinkish highlights.
Yeah, I love all the color schemes. I don't think there's any. Well, I'm also
So,
colorblind. Steven, is there any?
I don't think I noticed this until like 30 minutes ago when we, started setting up and I was looking at this. Has Atlas always had the little lammy ears?
Yes. Yeah, I have noticed that.
I
don't recall.
I never noticed that. I never noticed that.
I recall maybe we had like a little discussion and just I think gave it up for like a weird Oda flare.
Yeah.
Which is
Yeah,
probably what.
I mean,
it
when you
is.
see it colored, then you can tell. But yeah, maybe I just assumed it was like little swoops of hair or something.
If we didn't mention it, I definitely have noticed it, and just I think like all of Caesar Clown's people have those weird goat horns. Like it's just like at one point you're just like, okay, I guess that's a thing. Whatever. Yeah.
I was really excited to see this because this, like, aside from some sort of themed, like, we had the color spread that was like all the number 2 guys, and we've had like some of the new era or the new age style ones where it's like a bunch of worst generation type characters. But I feel like we've never really gotten like such a like arc themed spread like this, where it's just Vegapunk and all of the other the satellites, and I was like, oh, that's really cool.
Well,
I
and
like
if you
that
look
you
at
did
the-
this.
Me
And if
too.
you look at the background, you can see that it's got like the intersecting lines. Like this is like something that's on a Sentai show, and Vegapunk across the back. It's very the Super Sentai Vegapunk family.
Yeah, he's been getting a lot more experimental with his color spreads recently. Like he did the one for Monster recently. There's just been
That's
like a
right,
lot
yeah.
more out of the box ones where it's not his usual thing. I really like this one.
Yeah.
Alex.
I'm shocked it took so long for this to happen. Like, this is something we should have gotten like the chapter or 2 after like the rest of them were introduced.
Yeah, that would have been fun.
But yeah, I think that's his pose now, right? That's Vegapunk's pose. This little
He's flying.
Figure
Yeah,
skating,
like-
kind of.
Pirouette, yeah.
much like the
Yeah.
actual Albert Einstein. He's very
the,
graceful.
Yeah, the tongue is for balance. Yeah.
yeah. No,
It's his third leg.
I love the composition. I think the composition's great. This is going to be a great one when it shows up on the 2025 calendar.
I don't think I realized until right now, looking at this, that York is like constantly doing the Peko-chan face from the Fujiya
Yeah.
Cakes logo.
Yeah, I've got to have the tongue out. That's funny.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that on the side of some sort of
It's funny. I was gonna say before we got, but Alex mentioned the calendar, and I was gonna say that like I didn't think, when I was thinking of the last year, so the 2024 One Piece manga calendar just kind of shipped out. So a lot of the people who ordered them, like many of us, just got them, and I didn't really have a strong image in my mind of like, oh yeah, there were a bunch of really good color spreads this year. Maybe they just weren't particularly memorable. But when I saw the actual list of spreads that are in the 2024 calendar, it's really good. I was like kind of surprised. I was like, man, there were some really good color spreads in the past.
Mine is supposed to get in soon.
So.
Mine's supposed to get in soon. I need to take a look when that, because I don't remember.
Exactly. Yeah.
We were talking before the show, like, or even early in the show, like being able to digest it week by week. But my memory of that kind of stuff just it all meshes in together for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. This is a favorite of this year. I think for me, I've enjoyed the Vegapunk. What do you call them? Offspring. The
Offshoots.
Supplementary, offshoots.
Satellites.
I forgot that's the term. It's been a while since we had like a month-long reprieve going around the world, and now we've been in this for over a month. And
I should say, for Steve's sake, since he pointed it out when they put up the process video, there was apparently some other, very different angles that Oda was working on. There was one of like. It was like an overhead shot of a table or something, and there were like dogs hanging out with them or something like that. So I think he changed.
It was like a Frankie-centric one.
Yeah, Frankie. One. Yeah, that's right. But I'm glad that we got the Vegapunk one. I think it's cool.
Yeah. We could always get Frankie in an overhead position playing with dogs on a video game or something. And I'm sure we will one day, hopefully. Anyway, Ed, you want to get into the chapter?
Sure, we can start the chapter. We got, picking up right where we left off. 3 years ago, Mount Corvo, Goa Kingdom in the East Blue. We see a forest, and sticking out of that forest, we see a Gum-Gum, and we see it's Kuma who's watching. And the axe, Gum-Gum axe, comes down, smashing the, I guess he's just smashing rocks, it looks like. But there's a crocodile and a tiger there who are very intimidated by this. And Kuma's just lurking in the background, sort of keeping an eye on Luffy. And then he starts to have a flashback of his own to a conversation that he apparently had with Dragon some time ago.
Alex.
Okay, so I'm starting my page. Here I go. So Kuma says to Dragon, we see them looking off into Goa from Dragon's ship, and he says, "You seem extremely familiar with this particular nation, and I couldn't help but notice you traveling to a little village at the edge of the country, and watching a particular young lad." And there's a slight pause, and Dragon says, "Keep going if you want to see me killed." And Kuma says, "What do you mean?" And Dragon says, "Children are a vulnerability for any parent." And we get an "oh" type like shock from Kuma.
Oh, that's what you meant.
Yeah. Pardon me. I'll forget I saw anything. Guy's covering, like, as if he's covering his eyes. Like, oh, nope, sorry. So he thought back to that moment as he continues to watch Luffy, who is seemingly talking to himself, but I think he's just he's talking to his animal buddies. He says, "That's going to be a special attack. I'll use it when I'm up against really tough enemies. Once I'm a pirate, I'll find new crewmates, see?" And then he says, "And there'll be times when they get beat or captured. When that happens, I won't hold back. I'll give them a Gum-Gum axe, no matter who it is. See?" I like he's kind of talking like a 30s mobster. Gonna find new crewmates, see? There'll be times when they get beat or captured, see? And when that happens, they'll be sleeping with the fishes, see? So, obviously, according to the Yoda box, as if we haven't recognized it already, this is Monkey D. Luffy, age 16. So, a year before he set out on his journey to be a pirate. And the crocodile and the tiger are they're pretty scared, but he says, "What? Don't worry, I don't eat weaklings." Kuma continues to watch, but as soon as Luffy turns around to see who's there, Kuma pops away.
He's getting a phone call.
Yeah,
he's like, "Oops."
Yeah, I gotta get out of here.
He is.
And Luffy says, well, that was weird. I felt something that made me shiver. There is still a big boss lurking somewhere on this mountain. Well, I'm going to find it and hunt it before I set sail. Rah! And,
I'll point out here that when I use the term big boss, it's the same term that they use for the Lord of the Coast, which is Nushi, which is basically like in Japanese, folklore or folk wisdom. There's always like the big one in a pond or in an area on a mountain or something like that, and it's always the one animal that's like the real alpha. It's like the bigger than all of the other ones, and so that's what he's referring to there. Also, I guess we can kind of we can pour one out. R.I.P. Skinny Luffy. He's going to join Ugly Chopper and Petite Nami and Miss All Sunday, all the old designs.
Yeah. He still he shouldn't be so ripped yet.
Yeah.
To be fair,
we're talking about.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's like you guys were talking about last week with Usopp. Usopp, like, Oda's overcompensating in some places, and I guess here he's forgetting to draw how to draw Luffy without being 8-pack.
Yeah. Yeah, I think somebody was saying like, well, at least he didn't like forget and actually accidentally draw the scar on his chest, which is the kind of thing that Oda probably would do, just going on autopilot.
Yeah.
On the next page, however, we see Kuma's the. Do we have a name for his boat for the daddy pirates here? He's just got his cute little bear boat, and there's a call coming through. Pirates have pillaged a merchant ship and are now on the run. Sink the pirate ship at once. So he is answering the call as the warlord of the sea here, and. These are the victims that he has sidled up against, and they're saying, the pirates came out of nowhere. And he says, I'll take the injured to a hospital right now. And they're like, huh? Oh. And meanwhile, the call is continuing. Bartholomew Kuma, what are you doing? And then we see Kuma. He's got at least one person in his arms there. And he says, I'll go ahead. You catch up. And the others are they're praying to him. They're showing their appreciation. Oh, thank you. I thought it would be too late for us. As the phone continues, Kuma, come in, Kuma. So he's kind of ignoring the orders. He's prioritizing healing the injured before catching the pirates. But then later that evening, we see the moon is out, and he is at another ship and saying, "Give yourselves up." I imagine like RoboCop. And they're like, we're sorry, we'll return everything. Give back the treasure men. Do you want to die? So we can tell that Kuma's reputation does precede him here. And then we get the Ken Burns voiceover. Let's get some slow sad fiddle music and some pan over some black and white photos. To Barney. The world is full of more beautiful and wondrous sights than any book or picture could describe. I wish I could see you react to them, Bonnie. Over a really fantastic panel. I love this one.
That panel. These, I like, especially when I marathon reread through One Piece. The panels that stick out most to me are these kind of like quiet, beautiful like scenery panels. This was
great. And this is kind of Oda stretching his muscles a little bit because he does do some interesting sort of I hesitate to say pastoral because there's no pastors here, but he does some like nice sort of natural background work, and he has had like pretty shots at sea before, but I don't think he's ever quite done this sort of like sunset like with the wavering. The clouds in front of the sun and stuff like that, and it's a really really nice,
really nice long image. Line of birds too, just all the way across the sky.
Yeah,
big old flock.
It's a nice one.
And meanwhile, in Sorbet Kingdom, We get a series of views of various buildings, including the church, as we hear, "Is it here yet? Is it here yet? Is it here yet? Is it here yet?" And then the interior shot from inside the letterbox here. "Is it here yet?" As we see Bonnie is looking for a letter.
What
In
a
fact,
great
it's got-
shot! That
Yeah.
it's like almost ominous.
And then
She's like,
just to be certain, Oda draws the Japanese symbol for the post over the slot.
I've been getting Noah the little Japanese toy cars from Tomy, I think is the brand, and so I've just been looking at that symbol because I got him a post office one, like all week, and
Yeah.
yeah.
And she's saying, "Is it here yet? Is it here yet?" Just like opening and closing the little interior latch on the letter feed, and Gyogyo, her buddy with the hat, is saying, "Look, he's probably busy with his work, and sometimes newscoos make mistakes." But Bonnie is not convinced. In fact, she's reaching in and just smacking the empty container there to demonstrate how empty it is. She says, "Daddy said he would write me lots of letters." "Yeah, and letters take a long time. You're supposed to be patient." And Connie, who is ever the a comforting presence, just beams and says, "They'll get here eventually, dear." And we see outside the news coup is flying overhead, and it drops a package onto the ground outside, where Nurse Alpha, the CP8 agent, sees it, says, "Oh, a newspaper and a letter."
Miles.
Yep. Put this in the church post box. And that's Alpha. "Yes, ma'am." I don't even know who she's talking to. And then we have a young Bonnie again. "Any letters?" "Nope, just the paper," Gyogo says. And we get a Pushubia, whatever you want to call it, Bonnie. She's disappointed. We look at the church. "Time has passed. Another letter, huh?" "Yes, how many is this?" "Must have been about 10 a month. There have been dozens." "I'm surprised he hasn't run out of things to write." And it's a letter to Bonnie. And there's Nurse Alpha ripping it up again. "What a sap." "Lastly, Bonnie, as I've said so many times, I send you all the love in the world. I will write again." And that's Kuma over an image of a trash can with a whole year's worth of letters. Then we get Bonnie transforming herself into a very buff fighter. "Let's fight, Gyogo." "Again? What about Jenga?" "Fight me."
So,
That's the sound-
Steven, this
that's
is
the
what
sound
you
of
were
the
alluding
Hasbro
to.
lawyers, yeah. Writing it. Yeah, it's funny because he did use the term Jenga in. I mean, it's obvious. Yes, that's what they're playing, but yeah, he didn't use like a euphemism or like, "What about the block game?" or something like that.
I'm surprised he didn't do like a pun of some sort. I don't know what.
Oh yeah,
They've
like
done,
make his
obviously.
own One Piece version of it.
Yeah,
Jenga.
why not? Yeah.
Is Jenga a copyrighted term? Because I have seen enough other brands use it that I feel like it might not be.
I had Tumbling Towers, which I think was the what do you call it, the off-brand,
Yeah.
generic version of
Okay.
Jenga.
I'm wondering if Jenga might be one of those things that's old enough to have somehow slipped into the public domain.
It's only 40. I'm looking
Yeah,
this up
really?
right now.
Okay.
Is it really?
The 80s,
Yeah, it's only from the 83. I mean, a lot of like bars have like the giant Jenga. I know I've played that with at least Steve in the
Well,
past.
they don't use the name. They just assume everyone's going to call it Jenga when you go there.
Oh,
They
you know,
don't- they don't
I did not know.
Yeah.
The name Jenga is derived from Kujenga, the Swahili word which means to build. Thank you, Wikipedia. Yeah, so he was, and the creator was born in what is now Tanzania. So that I guess explains that. I had no idea, but yeah, I don't know how the copyright would. Yeah,
No, I
anyway.
mean they just
Well,
wouldn't be able
trademark
to
it.
do that then.
A trademark. Sorry.
Yeah.
Or patent, but the patent would have run out by this point.
Probably.
Go, yeah.
How many years is it, Zach, for a board game?
I don't. Is there a difference for the board game? Is it
No, I
a
don't
12
think so.
years plus? I think it's 12 for a patent.
Yeah, all patents
And I
are
know
30.
copyright. Copyright is what? Something plus the life of the author. I know Disney kept changing.
77.
Life plus 70.
Yeah. 77.
If
70?
it's younger than Mickey, we're in the clear.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. We'll talk more about Jenga later.
And then we've got the giant buff Bonnie attacking Gilgo again, and then Nurse Alpha comes in saying, "It's time for your medicine, Bonnie." There's a big crack at the door. She says, "Huh? Strange. I could have sworn she looked like a giantess." And Bonnie's back to being, what, like 7 years old at this point? Oh, no, 9.
9, yeah.
Yeah.
Or almost 9, yeah.
Bonnie's saying, "I hate medicine. It's yucky." And the Nurse Alpha says, "That's how you know it's working." And she says, "If only she knew it was just bitter syrup." We're past
I am
that
shocked
first.
that she's not poisoning Bonnie. Shocking.
I mean,
Well, I mean, she's no use to the government dead at this point.
Or, like, giving her indigestion or something evil. Like,
Kill her later.
would you really want to mess with Kuma while he's still got a little bit of humanity left?
Right.
but she's ripping up
this.
his letters, so anyway.
Yeah, but that's harder to find out. If you find out that, like, secondhand that your daughter's, like, dying or in the hospital.
I
it's a little
suppose,
different.
yeah.
Here, have this
Right.
neon blue medicine here.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah.
What about, like, green goop? Wasn't that, sorry, go ahead.
Gilgo and Connie are talking under their breaths. "Old Connie, why is it bad if they find out about Bonnie's powers?" And Connie says, "It's just in case. A wise hawk hides its talons." Now we're going to the Navy Science Division, Laboratory 8. "That's amazing, Doctor. It's already done?" says someone. "After this, I'll just use island clouds to make the lab and brain float. The truth is, half of what you see is actually a hologram. This has been my plan for Punk Hazard too, truth be told. And you can tell by the fact that my tongue was out that was Vegapunk."
I was going to say, the great thing about Vegapunk is it's made everyone who has come on this podcast do absolutely absurd voices. Speaking of...
also had the same thought, so this will occur in my attempts at Vegapunk as well. Okay.
Go for it, Casey.
So yeah, so we cut to clone Stussy asking Vegapunk about the fact that his what do we call this? He's got that kind of lid now. I think this is the first time we see it in the flashbacks.
That's the
reduces
His
the size of
antenna,
his cranium.
satellite dish. Yeah.
Yeah.
His Apple... I'm
Apple
trying to
hat.
think of an Apple pun, but like the brand, but I can't.
His apple noggin. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that was a network from Nickelodeon, I think, actually.
And so Stussy says, "And you've gotten a fresh cut." And he goes, "Peh, peh, peh, peh. It's so light I could just float away." And they say, "Are you really going to lose your free will, Kuma? I wonder which is worse off, a clone with her own will or a real human with none." Which makes Vegapunk very upset. "Stop that, Stussy. You are a human being."
It's so easy to take him seriously when he sounds like that. By the way, imagine being Vegapunk and your whole life having a head many times the size of your body weight going around, and then just getting that all cut off. It must be an amazing experience, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, we have Kuma looking massive on his cyborg recovery bed. "What does it mean to lose my free will, Vegapunk? However, you might be following orders from above at the moment. Would you continue to do their bidding if they told you to kill a child?"
I have no idea what you just said.
That's right. I'll stop.
No, that was too good. Don't stop.
No, it was too accurate. It was true to life.
Yeah, but the point is that losing your free will in this research project means losing all of the memories and human emotions you've gained this point in your life. But I'll make certain that you can maintain a bare minimum of conscious thought right up to just before the end. That should give you another year, I suppose. And then we go to Kuma writing another letter. And saying, "I'll keep sending them for as long as I can. I love Bonnie. I have another year to write out an entire life's worth of emotions for her," which is quite a sentence. And Stussy's kind of going, "Tee hee, that's sweet." Bonnie will be 9 soon. I bet she's so big now. Not in that short of a time. Ah ha ha ha. And then, of course, we have the what Stephen referred to as the Kinsburn text bubble.
Yes.
I do like that.
I don't know when this letter might reach you, but happy 9th birthday, Bonnie. I am writing to you from Vegapunk's lab, and then we jump cut to Bonnie, happy birthday. And everybody brings in cake and everything from all the characters you like, and this is Game Master Jewelry Bonnie's birthday.
This one definitely.
Connie, yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say this one this little scene definitely reminded me of Robin showing up to the library, and having everyone celebrate for her there.
Yeah, all the characters you like. That's my.
Yeah,
and a few characters we haven't met. That we
Connie's there, but Bulldog isn't.
Yeah.
Well, oh yeah,
Well, Bulldog's busy being king.
he's
Yeah,
right.
he is. To be fair, Connie's just a queen dowager. I mean, what do they even do? Let's go to the next page.
They sit around and be old.
How would you celebrate your 9th birthday? I think it's pretty simple, the answer here. With one of old Connie's special huge pizzas. From the folks who brought you Chuck E. Cheese and glutinous weird blob pizza. Here it is. And you see it takes the entire town, let's say, to bring in this pizza. And it felt good. And her face is just stuffed with it. Yeah, this is the perfect 9th birthday, let's be fair. Everyone is asleep because they ate a ton of what is only cheese. And as they snore, you have Bonnie rifling through the mailbox and realizing, no, there are still no letters there. And this was her little toy room that she was playing in. As I've mentioned, the parental thing is all rooms become toy rooms when you have kids. True to form, we're in a church, so that makes sense. And on the bottom panel, we have a tearing up Bonnie doing, what did we call this face? The 3 face, the backward 3. That's what the...
That's the face where you better watch what you're doing, or a crow will come and land on your lip like that. That's what they used to tell me.
Okay.
Stop pouting.
It's better than a duck face, I'll say. And she's like, don't you know I'm 9 now, Daddy? You said you'd write me letters. And she starts crying. And then we have an Oda box, not the Ken Burns box, but the original Oda box, saying half a year passed without a single letter reaching her. And we see time passes, but in this case, it's by Alpha being the douchiest person in the universe. And we head to Revolutionary Army HQ Baltigo, as we have a back and forth between presumably someone in the Revolutionaries in Baltigo and someone somewhere else. And they're saying, Kuma saved you again? And the response is, yes, he helped the army out of a pinch. Then he left without saying a word. And I believe Dragon is the one on the other end saying, if that's what Kuma wants, don't go after him. I'm sure he has his reasons, ones he can't tell us. And we see a shot of Sabo here showing us that we are still very close in time to the present. I think we're only a year, I think, before the time skip at this point, because Luffy was 16 and I think he leaves when he's 17.
17.
Yeah.
And it said 3 years
you mean
ago
2
at
years
the
before?
beginning.
Yeah.
It's 3 years ago. A year,
Yeah,
1 year before the time skip, 3 years ago. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, that makes sense.
Luffy's 19 now.
It did say that at the beginning. I forgot that. Anyway, Dragon's like, I'm sure he has his reasons, ones he can't tell us. And meanwhile, Bonnie is all better. Her trademark jewelry, gemstones are gone, and she proclaims that because of that, she'd like to live outside in the daylight. And Alpha exclaims, "Grr!" That's the sound effect. Sorry. You can't, Bonnie. We're under instructions to care for you until your 10th birthday. And Bonnie retorts that she is lying and that Vegapunk said that she'd be better in a year. And it's been a year. And if there's one thing I know, it's how long a year is. And Alpha explains that she still can't. Ed.
Yes. So we see Connie, and she's talking with Bonnie and all the people there, and sort of looking around shiftily and whispering, "Alpha and her ilk are secret agents of the government." Huh? Shh. Quiet. They were drinking in town. Someone let slip that your disease is already fully cured. Really? I don't know what else they've got riding on this, but it makes no sense that they'd keep you locked inside for another half year when you're all healthy now. It doesn't make sense that Kuma wouldn't write a single letter either, does it? Yeah. I love her expression right there. It's just, yeah, she gets it. People are conspiring. Connie continues, "I've already told the men about this. Go to the harbor, Bunny. Go to sea and find your father." I can see him? But Connie continues, "Yo-Yo and his crew aren't ordinary fishers. They're legendary ruffian fishers who strike fear into pirates and beasts alike. They'll help you reach Kuma. I'm off to the palace." And this is Connie talking to, crap, what was her name again?
Alpha.
Alpha, yeah. And Alpha says, "Oh, take care, ma'am." And Connie smiles as she's walking out of the church. And obviously this is not Connie, this is Bonnie talking about, "I'm outside. There's dirt, grass, sun, sky." Bonnie's walking in the light of day. It's a miracle. There is a God. To think this day would come. "This way, Bonnie." And you see their names, more names now. We got Gyo-Gyo, Tots, and Potato. Let's call the whole thing off. Look, I'm outside. This is a very happy moment right here.
I'm going to be king of the outside.
And we got back at the church, and I guess this is Alpha saying, "Where's Bonnie? I just saw Queen Dowager Connie outside. What's going on?" Alpha finds Connie, who says, "It's me. I'm Bonnie. Don't lie to me." Set
With their hair and
sail.
little pigtails.
Yeah, the pigtails are what. That's how you.
We decorated the ship like a pizza. Oh, that's perfect. It's a pizza, and the fish. Obviously, they have the fisherman sort of pirate.
Yeah.
Pirate symbol from what they were doing before, I guess. But yeah,
I would not have guessed that was a pizza.
Yeah. What
Ice
part
cream,
of that
maybe?
is pizza?
I don't
Well,
know.
I
Big,
think the dots are pepperonis.
I guess.
Yeah, and then the frosting is cheese, the very stretchy cheese.
Right.
Yeah.
I
thought
don't
at
mean
first
to.
that, like, maybe they stole a ship from Big Mom
Big
or
Mom.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's more what it looks like. There's a pineapple in the back. This is a blasphemous ship.
Yeah, it's got Marco on
Is there
it.
a
Big Mom,
parfait?
it's got-
Like it looks like a parfait. Honestly, with the that cookie
The
thing
twirlies,
sticking out.
the tweelies,
Yeah.
whatever they're called. This is as much pizza as an antibiotic. Like I can't think of anything that's less pizza than this.
They did it overnight. Like, this is their birthday present to Bonnie from yesterday.
Antibiotics. It looks like it's covered in penicillin.
It actually does. I was trying to think what's the opposite of pizza, and antibiotics are the things that. The thing that kills harmful bacteria is the thing that.
Would you like some penicillin on your pizza?
The petri dish. That's the
I mean,
name
some
of it.
people eat mushrooms.
That's what they should
Here's
call
how
it.
you
pizza.
make it up
Yeah.
to your audience that you're not doing an episode next week. You have someone on the team try and make this pizza.
The penicillin pizza, yes.
I wouldn't bring such a awful thing into this world. Absolutely not. Alex, did you want to round us off?
I will round us off. Yeah. So Alpha is running on the water, saying "Stop right there," and they're like, it's Alpha. And she says, "If you attempt to escape, I have authorization to use non-lethal violence to subdue you and bring you to justice."
No,
This
not
makes it much
non-lethal
easier.
violence.
I really
Yeah.
liked that phrase,
Yeah.
non-lethal violence.
So that's I guess that's just beating you within an inch of your life, basically. She's looks like she's using Skywalk, and Gyogyo says, "She's flying at us. That's the government fighting style, the 6 powers." And Alpha's just talking to nobody but herself, saying accomplices may be eliminated.
I think she's talking to him, Gyokyo.
Yeah, I guess that's true. It just sounds like she's talking to herself. I like that idea better. So we get a little flashback from Bonnie, who says, "Hey, Daddy, what does Nika look like?" Steve's not here, so
I could hear you doing the joke without you actually doing it.
He said, "What does Nika look like?" Well, no one really knows, but Alpha's within the ship's grasp. And then Bonnie jumps off the ship and says, "Distorted future," and gets real buff really quick.
What a great sound effect.
Buff. Yeah. Buff. Muscle.
That's what my muscles sound like.
Yeah, and sort of has a Gear 3rd style arm now. And Gyogyo, and I guess that's Tots, or is it Potato? Who knows yet? Yeah.
Or do we want to?
Yeah, they're a little freaked out. And the little flashback continues about Nika. And Kuma says, "It said that his body had properties like rubber, and he fought however he fancied." And we have this really awesome panel here of it's a Luffy-like panel. Bonnie has a huge fist, socking Alpha right in the face, breaking her glasses, ruining her chances of ever being a body double for Khalifa later on.
Somebody had to say it.
We'll talk about this in our round off, but
we definitely talked about it last time, I think, too.
Yeah. This attack is Nika-like future. She gets punched right into the ocean with a giant splash. Everybody on the ship is extremely wowed, and we have our little Oda boxes saying, "The escape of Bonnie the hostage was relayed to the government at once, and eventually the fishing boat in search of her father transformed into a pirate ship in the New World, much like Luffy's." And with a dawn, we end the chapter.
And I did want to say, and I'm sure, Stephen, you drew from it, chapter 1044, when we first see Nika and the Gear 5, the language is similar. Possessing a body with the properties of rubber and fighting in whatever way he fancies brings smiles to the face of people. That's from the 5 Elders. I just wonder the origin of that, I guess. But I don't think that's something we're going to find out soon. Anyway, that is chapter 1101. Thoughts on this one? Miles, I'll start with you.
It's kind of cool that Bonnie canonically uses Gear 3rd before Luffy by at least a year.
True.
I love this chapter. You're starting with me, which is hard because this is a very emotional chapter and a very dad chapter.
Yes, it is. Finally, some company here.
Honestly, Kuma, you called him last episode, the best dad in One Piece, and I couldn't agree more. And this is just heart-wrenching. I think it's a little annoying, honestly, how they kind of did so much about the letters, which we already feel like we got the anger out last episode or last chapter. So this chapter, harping on it so much wasn't as necessary, but the catharsis we got at the end of it is so satisfying. And the pacing of the chapter is great, and the emotionality, and getting to see the quiet scenes again. That last little bit before, Kuma had to go away from last chapter was so nice, and so seeing him while he still has most of his mind was also nice. Seeing his connection with Luffy early on kind of reframes a couple more things that we saw later on. And seeing Dragon be a good dad for the first time.
Yeah.
I like that. So real good dad chapter.
I don't know if I go good, but certainly
it
well
shows
intentioned for the first time. Yeah.
Shows that he thinks about his children, at least.
He knows they exist.
Right. He's concerned for his well-being. Yeah.
I guess the first time we saw him, he kind of had that.
Kind of, yeah. We didn't know he was daddy back then. But
we didn't know he was daddy. Yeah. He did, I think. Yeah. For more daddy, we'll get to that later. Casey.
Yeah, I think this was a perfectly fine chapter. I think this was a nice little spot of levity and hope before our hearts get crushed again. Because, we have the 9-year-old having the best birthday outside of dad not being able to show up. We have a little bit of hope, Kuma hoping that the letters he's been writing all this time, his one last year of emotion, is received in any way. And, tragically, we know it isn't. And we have Bonnie's hope that she's going to go to sea and find him. And yeah, we do get that nice catharsis of Alpha getting socked in the face. Something I really like. Something I have enjoyed about this arc is that Kuma was a character I've liked a lot. So it's been nice to get some of Kuma's story here. And I think this was our moment of kindness before tragedy takes hold again.
It's every chapter of One Piece, especially flashback. Steven, your thoughts?
I think this was this is a very solid. Like, I think he just really thoroughly wrote the hell out of this chapter. Like, it's the same density that he has been writing with, particularly in Egghead, and in this flashback as well. But it does feel very singularly focused on telling this story of Bonnie and Kuma very clearly thinking so heavily of each other while they are separated, and the strength of that bond. And Miles is probably right. He didn't need to harp on the letter thing so often, but it does really build for a character who is does not really serve much of a purpose other than to be this, Nurse Ratched bad guy. It makes the payoff of Bonnie knocking out Alpha much more satisfying. And it was a really awesome, like, I had that, like, that sort of like stand up out of your chair, like, whoa reaction when I saw the punch in the double page spread at the end, which I really liked because I had this thought, and I almost didn't want to say it because of like cursing it into kind of becoming true, but it did occur to me, particularly when the kind of the full narrative of the Kuma and Bonnie stuff became clear in the flashback, that it is also very similar to the structure of the Kyros and Rebecca stuff, where it's like the parent, the father and daughter who are separated, who cannot be together due to circumstances, and tragic stuff has befallen them, and all they want is to be together. And I just remembered how, like, what happened with Kyros and Rebecca was that once that came true, then Rebecca had no agency in the story anymore. Like, she had no purpose to be served. It was just she was just the good daughter, who was he was rescuing her from a lifetime of violence and of doing bad things and stuff. And I was a little worried that once we got the full backstory here, that the same thing might happen with Bonnie, where it's like all she wants is to see her dad again. And then what happens to Bonnie, the supernova, the worst generation pirate, if that's what the entirety of her quest revolves around? And that's still kind of an open question, I think. But I really did appreciate seeing her, like, get down and dirty and actually kicking ass, and kind of, she doesn't, I don't think she even really knows that she's avenging the lost letters here. She doesn't realize that she still doesn't realize that her dad has been writing to her. But in terms of the dramatic irony of it is that she is kind of getting back at Alpha for that. And
well, she knows.
What's that?
She knows now, right?
She kind of put two and two together
today. Probably. I mean, she's. Well,
she touched the bubble.
Yeah, she went into the paw chamber.
Yeah, but Connie says to Bonnie, don't get confused here. Mm-hmm. I don't. Where is it? It doesn't make sense that Kuma wouldn't write a single letter.
Yeah, so maybe that's insinuating to her that.
Yeah, I mean, like,
keeping it secret.
it doesn't say for sure, but she knows her father enough to be like, okay, he's a sap.
Yeah.
He's going to be sending me a lot of letters.
Right.
And asking, why don't you call? Why don't you write? If anyone. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So again, I'm not sure if what the long-term plan is, but I was very happy to see this, this kind of kick-ass moment for Bonnie, and to see her do something that is really cool. Like, the age powers are interesting, but I don't think we had really seen her kind of deliver on this level in terms of being a very, very impressive feat of using her powers to fight. And that was that was really cool. I liked that a lot. I'm not sure. I mean, I haven't seen the next chapter. It's going to be 2 weeks. But it does kind of seem like maybe we'll get a little bit of kind of connecting material. Maybe there's something about this is what happened in the year or the 3 years since, but it does kind of seem to suggest that this is the end of, Bonnie. I mean, obviously she's leaving. She's not stuck in Sorbet Kingdom anymore. It sounds like a wrap up to be like, and then she became a pirate in the New World, and here we are today, that sort of thing. So I'm not sure if this is the end, but it does seem like we're pretty much there.
Yeah, I think at this point, I mean, also Bonnie knows her story here. It's a lot of Kuma's story is what I guess she would have learned. Alex, your thoughts on the chapter?
I thought it was great. Great chapter. Stuff with Dragon is really interesting. I think we've talked about this before, but using Ed's words, we're finally Oda is finally forced to make Dragon a character in the story. This is a side of him that we sort of see, and it sort of is a slight justification as to how he's been acting the way he's been acting every single time we've seen him. Like when Sabo and Koala, or even Koala, I think, said, "Hey, what's the matter? You're not even gonna bat an eye that your son has a higher bounty or whatever," and he just doesn't. He's just like, "Never mind. Let's talk about something else." I get the sense that we're going to have a really heart-wrenching moment with Dragon at some point in the story, and I'm really gearing up for it now because if
I thought it was going to be part related to God Valley, and I was kind of hoping we'd see it. But this is just this flashback was just going to be all about Kuma and Bonnie.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll eventually get there. Alpha. I haven't listened to last week's episode. Did you talk about if Alpha could be Khalifa's sister or a clone or something? Because it has the Fa. She has the Fa in the name, and I wonder if there's a Alpha Khalifa.
Is there a pun
I did think about that. I mean, no, they just have similar. Like the katakana is similar, Khalifa and Arufa. But I'm not sure if there's anything more than that.
I mean, they do look insanely similar. We did mention that.
Khalifa's dad was a CP9 agent, so there is that family thing.
That's true, too. Yeah,
that could be true, yeah. Maybe they're sisters.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's a lot of, what do you call it, nepotism. In the One Piece, especially in the government.
And especially in CP9.
That wouldn't surprise me. Yeah.
Cypher, Nepal Zero, yeah.
There it is.
Yeah, so that's that's something I've been thinking about since last week. Turns out she has blonde hair, then it's probably Khalifa's sister. The fact that she was called Alpha, I wonder if she was a clone of Khalifa or something. But anyway,
who's making clones of Khalifa? Who is she to have a clone?
I don't know.
Who are any of these people with clones to have clones?
Well, no.
Seriously.
The only other one we know is
girlfriend.
The only other one is Stussy, right? And that's Ms. Buchan, and she seemed to have.
She was a member of the Rocks Pirates.
Yeah, she seemed to be of some notoriety.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll find out more about her at some point. I'm sure, but the letter stuff. I guess the letter stuff is important though too, because Bonnie has seen all this flashback now. She has seen what we have seen because she put her hands in the big Kuma paw force field thing. Kuma's memories. So, yeah. Also, I love that Bonnie's got bigpunchies.com as well. Great stuff. I mean, and you sort of get to know why she was a force to be reckoned with amongst the other Worst Generation. Very cool chapter.
More reason to visit bigpunchies.com, by the way. Yeah, Casey, go ahead.
I don't recall. Is this the first chapter we've seen Brolic Bonnie in?
No.
No.
We saw her once against Vegapunk when she was chasing him through the hall.
Yeah, she did the distorted future thing before.
She did the
Okay.
Hulk, the upper body Hulk thing. Yeah.
See, this is a consequence of reading all of that in a week. So
I don't blame you at all. Ed, thoughts?
Yeah, so as Alex was saying, I called a couple of weeks ago for Dragon to be more of a character in the series going forward, and this is, it's going to be a gradual thing with him. Otherwise, we're going to get some big revelations with him at some point, but sort of breaking that ice with him, of him having an opinion about Luffy, and recognizing that children can be a weakness, which is poignant for Kuma in particular. It does really hit him hard when he says that to him. So it's it's interesting that he keeps an eye on Luffy as well. Just after that point.
Well, this is before Kuma had Bonnie, right? I'm trying to think when in the timeline were they at Goa.
But he's reflecting on that conversation.
He might have.
He's reflecting on that conversation currently at the point when Luffy is 16. So it's just it's something that you think about more, I guess. Thinking about conversations you've had with other dads when you're a dad too, I guess. But I just want to point out that Connie, I think, is sort of the unsung hero of this chapter. She really takes on a role in raising Bonnie to be sort of this, I guess, assertive personality. This, someone who's capable of being a leader. I guess it was always naturally within her, but it's nice to see someone, it's one of the few positive, mother relationships in One Piece, like with the Dawn, sort of this foster mother for this character to show her how to sort of be that person who people want to follow you, and her figuring out like that Alpha is a government agent and doing the switcheroo with Connie. I laughed out loud at that. That was a great moment. I think Connie is a great character. She's been a source of so many good gags over the last few chapters. Just it's interesting to see that other side of a character we've seen, throughout the series, or alluded to occasionally when Bonnie would transform like that. But love to see. I do love to see a Bonnie transform. You really see how strong she is, how she would become one of the supernovas, I think, with that power. But
and she's 9 years old.
It's true. She's
anything else, Ed?
I don't know. Kuma's just he's a very thoughtful guy. A lot of these characters are all action. Sort of. Luffy is the sort of ultimate id character, but it's interesting to see a more introspective character in One Piece.
Yeah, I'm happy you mentioned Connie in particular, Ed, because I think she was probably the MVP of this particular chapter. And we talked a lot a few weeks ago when Ginny was unceremoniously off-screened. Kind of the.
Well, it's important that Connie is. I guess Connie is actually a mother. Her son was the king, but she must be extremely strong if she's managed to survive in this series.
Yeah, I mean, I think more importantly, it's another good example of found family in One Piece, or foster parents, or a parent because of the circumstances. Like, not super happy with how the Ginny story went because it was for the sake of Kuma, but I do think it's a very positive thing to see the mother figure in Bonnie's life, and seemingly pretty consistent through these early years, and more important than Kuma, who I think he's not naive, but I think is a trusting individual. It is good to see Connie explain Bonnie's, I think, cynicism that she seems to have when we first meet her, and thereafter. She has a lot of that, like, suspicion. And it looks like Connie is what instilled that personality trait into Bonnie a little bit more. I also think it's just, what was I going to say? I agree with what Miles said. This was a heartbreaking chapter, particularly as a dad, because I really felt the letter thing. I think it's the letter thing is a great example of, we already get it, but it's that, like, oh, this is just so overboard evil, is how it feels like. Let's really drill this in. And she, and I guess no surprise, really reminded me of Spandam. Not in looks, but hopefully now also in that. But
well, her soul is ugly.
Spandam,
so.
Right? They both, yeah. But Spandam, is a great villain because you hate him and have such good reason to hate him, and he's just such a truly awful human being, which is like, he's a villain. That's what I think Alpha in 2 short chapters manages to kind of achieve that. In, like, she's over the top evil. Yes. Oh, sappy. Let me rip these up. Blah. But also just like, I don't think unrealistically evil. Even though over the top evil. Like, this is her job. She doesn't like kids. She doesn't like being a good human. She's just an evil, terrible person. And she gets punched in the face. And you get that catharsis with Spandam a lot, through Enies Lobby and Water 7. As a lot of people may recall, he got punched a lot. And so it is great to see that here. I think this chapter did a very good job with that. With the stuff with Luffy and Dragon and particularly Kuma here, in that relationship, it makes me wonder how the rest of the flashback is going to be organized. I think, I reread a lot of the Thriller Bark stuff with Kuma last week, and I really wonder if we're going to get some of the events we've already seen in Thriller Bark and Shabadi and afterwards from Kuma's perspective, particularly since Vegapunk says that line, what is it? I'll try and give you another year at least of the bare minimum conscious, which sounds like that period during the time skip, or right leading up to it.
I think we're 1 chapter away from the end of this flashback, and I think, Stephen, it was you who said this is the end of what we get to see of Bonnie. Probably there's nothing more of her story that we need to know. I'm kind of disappointed about that, honestly, because I feel like there's a lot I would like to know about where she develops, and I also see her, and this is something we can come back to, like this chapter in particular made me think of her as a potential Straw Hat, even in whatever form that takes. But I don't think we're going to get any more based off of that Oda box at the end.
Well, she has the obsession with Nika.
Yeah.
That's why.
That's an interesting.
I think we're also at the point, and I think we've talked about this in the past, but I think we're at the point in the story, and I think Yamato and Momonosuke and Kinemon are really good examples where we get big allies that are really intertwined with the Straw Hats, but they're not riding the ship with them. And I could totally see Bonnie in that kind of role after this. I don't think this is the last we're going to see of her in this flashback, but I do think that this is probably the end of the majority of her story. But Kuma's story needs, like, Kuma and Bonnie's story kind of are working off of each other here. And I think we'd be remiss if we don't see what she's doing during these important moments with Kuma. And even like the pacifistas on Shabadi, I need to look back at that volume in particular because I don't remember how she reacts to that, because she was there. I'm sure I think it's going to be really interesting. We've never really hit a flashback that literally crosses back, as far as I can recall, into stuff we've seen in the main story in this sort of way. And I find that really, that's a very interesting dynamic. I'm really looking forward to it.
Which kind of contributes to this whole arc feeling like it's wrapping up a lot of loose ends. Like, we've been having this for the last 10 chapters or so, but it felt especially like that right now.
Yeah. I think that a lot of people, calling this the final saga or whatever, like, I think it is certainly, I don't know if I subscribe to that title, but I definitely think Oda is working toward a conclusion, particularly since Wano. So, and the last thing I want to say is every chapter I kind of am like re-examining what I think of the flashback as a whole until we get to the end of it. I think it's interesting since the story starts as Kuma, the child, who led a really cursed childhood and found people. Then his relationship with Ginny, and now his relationship with Bonnie and how it undoes him. There's so, I feel like those the early stories, while good, I don't know if Miles and Casey, you agree, but it felt very haphazard or rushed at times, I think is what I've said. While I think the latter half of this flashback, the stuff with Bonnie and Kuma, have been extremely I want to say heartwarming, but have been very sentimental and very heartbreaking and well done and paced in a much, I think, older One Piece flashback sort of way, which I appreciate. I don't know, Casey or Miles, if you have thoughts on that. The flashbacks pacing generally, since you read it in one day.
I would say that as far as flashbacks go, it does take me back more to the older style of One Piece writing. It's at least more focused on just a couple of characters, whereas I think that outside of the flashback, the preoccupation can be to try to juggle as many characters as possible and as many concepts, and we're constantly jumping from, this mythic thing to this returning character to this cameo to this gag. And yeah, when you get back to the flashback writing, that can kind of more focus on the emotions of specific characters and beats. So yeah, it is a welcome pace setter, I suppose. I also wanted to really quick echo a couple things you had said. One, yeah, I really did enjoy Connie as someone instilling as being an adult that encouraged Bonnie to question authority. I do think that is a necessary step in her character development. I also, now that you mentioned it, really enjoyed the comparison of Alpha to a character like Spandam, and that they're both sort of the very mundane bureaucratic side of government evil. They're people who are given those jobs and they don't seem to have any second thoughts about following those orders. They just kind of do the really evil bits and get some kind of enjoyment out of it. And there are people like that in life. And unfortunately, you can't just punch them in the face and be done with them. There is no such catharsis like that. So I think also...
Sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
Vegapunk also says to Kuma in this chapter, what does it mean to lose your free will? Well, would you follow orders if we ordered you to kill a child? And that was his example that he used.
And these are people who willingly give that away. Like they're happy to do it. And in a very real way, like these are more everyday villains. These are the kinds of people you're more likely to deal with than someone who can turn into light or, turn their hands into dragons. So
that's slightly less likely to find. You have to. They're somewhere in the country.
To answer your question, Zach, for me, you're talking about the first part of the flashback where it was all over the place with Kuma's childhood. Yeah, I mean that that was the most fan servicey part of One Piece we've gotten since Stampede, so I couldn't complain.
Yeah, that's true. I'm not denying that.
The pacing, I didn't even think about the pacing because I just felt like, when Frankie sees a robot for however many chapters that was, like, there's Whitebeard standing next to, so-and-so, and there's young Stussy and the young everybody. And there's Roger and Roger's crew, and we're getting all this fun backstory, and Garp's doing cool things. I don't know. I couldn't complain. Like, the writing could have been bad, but because I did read it all in bulk, I was just in a can't put it down mode.
That's what I was wondering. Yeah.
Yeah. I appreciate this part of the flashback that is much more, classic. And again, this is another reason why I'm like, Bonnie for Straw Hat, I hate it, to be clear, whenever anyone's like, oh, this character could be a Straw Hat, but for whatever reason, this chapter just gave me very big Bonnie Straw Hat vibes.
To be fair, we all got that when in Yamato's short flashback, and
we already have a
But I
character
think-
with Luffy fight powers.
Yeah, that's true.
So
Luffy,
But we don't have a character who, like, views him as a god. And I also do think Yamato he'll join the crew eventually.
Yeah. I just think we're at the point that my cop-out answer is we're at the point in the story where I think everyone along the way is, going to be part of this final battle or whatever it is. And so, I think there are some strong allies that have been built. I think Greg said something along the lines of, like, Yamato and Momonosuke and Kinemon are kind of on the same line as Vivi, where they're in absentia, And I could see Bonnie being at that point. I don't think I want someone on the crew who worships Luffy, though.
I think Bonnie and Bartolomeo should brawl for president of the fan club.
We don't know. So Bonnie digested a lot of the information from Kuma, but remember, she was not his biggest fan before. I'm wondering if she puts two and two together here, or is told through this in the Paul room whether or not Luffy is Nika or figures that out. We haven't really actually seen her fan service, like oh my god, I can't believe it.
Well, Luffy, no, but we saw her attitude change a bit to Luffy after she was in the Paul room.
Yeah,
and so that's kind of the important thing for me. Mm-hmm. I don't think when I'm saying she's worshiping him, like, she's a 12-year-old, which is another weird part about her being a Straw Hat.
Yeah. And of a lot of things, as we've discussed.
And of a lot of things.
Yeah.
We don't need to get into that, but the thing is, I think there'd be a little more complexity to the way that she views Luffy that can actually be more adult than an actual adult would treat him.
Yeah, I agree. Any other final thoughts?
Two very quick notes, specifically because Zach kind of had a little Freudian slip when he said the title of the chapter is Dear Bonnie, because I kind of wanted to call it Dear Bonnie, but I need to make this very pedantic point here, which is that the phrase pops up a couple times, but most specifically the panel where you see Alpha go like, oh, to Bonnie, man, what is that? And then it's written on the outside of the envelope. You don't write Dear So-and-so on the envelope itself. You write Dear So-and-so at the top, above the body of your letter. You don't write it on the envelope that you send to them. And so because of that, in good faith, I could not call this Dear Bonnie, but I would have liked to.
To be fair, I wouldn't write two necessarily on an envelope either. Yeah, you just write the name. Well, I in Japan, but then
she has to respond to that and go wee. Yeah. That was slightly annoying. But I also did want to point out, because I think this is the sort of thing that a lot of people would probably gloss over or not really recognize, which is that all of the stuff that Kuma writes with, like, I send you all the love in the world. And, I love Bonnie. I have another year to write out an entire life's worth of emotions to her. That's a very, like, I keep wanting to say the word blatant, not blatant, but it's a very forward expression of love and sentiment that you don't often see in Japanese writing. They're, just the way that they prefer to express things. There's that meme of how do you say I love you? It's the moon is beautiful tonight or whatever.
Oh yeah.
That is a meme. It's a little bit of an exaggeration, but it does reveal something about how things are preferred to be expressed. And so it is. It did strike me as like, wow, Kuma is really. He's laying it on very directly in here in a way that is fairly rare, I think, for Japanese writing, and
deserve
I
it.
that.
I think,
yeah. It really helps sell the the connection in this chapter.
I hope it's reflective of Oda. I mean, you definitely you talked about the similarities between Kyros and Rebecca, and the stuff here with Kuma and Bonnie, and I think the similarity with both stories is the idea, and I'm sure as a father, the idea of what if this really terrible thing happens with me and my kid, and how would I, approach this situation?
Or
as we said,
the perspective of a father who is unable to see his daughter due to circumstances like drawing a manga.
Dear daughter, I am stuck here writing chapter 1100 and whatever it is. By
the time you are 10, I will be done with One Piece.
Yeah, that's not true. By the time you're 10, I'll be halfway through with One Piece. The common refrain there. I feel that. I think the big difference. I mean, there's a lot of difference with the Kyros and Scarlet or Rebecca story and this one, but the fact that Bonnie and her dad already have such a established, wonderful relationship that they're so open about. I think one of the things Kyros was like very reluctant to let his love out because he felt so terrible about himself. It's like a very it's an, and also Bonnie is 9 and she should just be able to have fun at Chuck E. Cheese and eat her goopy cheese pizza, like on her awful boat. But I think with Rebecca, that's a whole other thing I don't even want to get into. But it's interesting the different types of dads that are portrayed in One Piece. But at the same time, I think this chapter does something One Piece doesn't do enough, and it shows that 9-year-old girls could really kick ass when they need to. And I hope he is finally admitting that not just 12-year-old boys read One Piece, and that he shouldn't just be catering to just 12-year-old boys. Any other comments on the chapter?
I just have a general observation about the monk priest figures in One Piece are like Kuma and Urog. They're all gigantic, big, punchy guys, which tells me that Oda's main relationship with priests is as like a D&D type class situation.
They're all clerics, yeah.
Yeah.
So, just something I wanted to point it out because I'm guessing he hasn't run into too many priests when he has a half hour of free time a week.
Or scary people you saw when you were a child. And
I was gonna,
in case
I was gonna say that, and I decided not to. I really hope, and I'm sure we will get a lot more about religion in One Piece, and we'll see which of you guys are right about how he views it when we get there. I mean, we obviously got like God and that kind of stuff in Skypiea, but I mean like the actual religion in One Piece I'm curious about.
Well, I mean, honestly, like I feel like Oda, generally speaking, has been more pro-religion than any other Shonen Jump writer I've ever seen. Like religion is treated pretty respectfully, where even like the Straw Hats will respect other people's beliefs.
Except Zoro.
Except Zoro, yeah.
Except for Zoro doesn't respect anybody or anything.
True. I think I say this a lot about the podcast. Like one of the good things about having a crew is you could all have different opinions. So you could, say you could both make fun of religion with Zoro and be very respectful for it, like Kuma or whatever. You could have your cake and eat it too, I guess. Anyway, that'll do it for the manga recap. Let's move on to the next segment.
All right.
This is the double anime recap for episodes 1086 and 1087. I'm your host Sam, and today with me we have Ed.
Yes, it's good to be back. It's it's a new era for the One Piece anime. We're completely out of Wano now, and we're sort of we're making our way around the world a little bit.
Yes, we may eventually reach a new location.
Mm-hmm.
The first episode on the docket is 1086, A New Emperor, Buggy the Genius Jester. And it opens with Nami has put Luffy in a cage for taking the waterfall route along with Kid and Law after their little dick measuring contest. And Jinbei, still getting a read on the room, is like, well, everyone turned out okay, so it's no harm, no foul. And then Nami is like lit on fire and gives him the evil eye. And Jinbei's like, what is this? Conqueror's hockey?
This is just the flavor of the crew. This is always some of the best parts of sort of the in between parts of One Piece, of getting to see the crew hang out.
Yeah, there's some hijinks, and like Luffy's stomach growls, and then like Nami gets mad at him for that. Like, oh, you can afford to be hungry now, huh? I put you in the cage and you have the audacity to be hungry. Sanji steps out onto the deck, and he's just smitten by the raw sexuality of Robin retrieving the newspaper. And Robin's flipping through the pages, and she's like, "Oh, look, our new wanted posters," and that gets everybody's attention. The Straw Hat Fleet. We're getting the narrator being like, the Straw Hat Fleet says 5,600 members, and the Emperor of the Sea, Straw Hat Luffy, has 9 senior officers, and those 9 are Chopper, whose bounty is updated to 1,000, but he's still a pet.
I love the Sanji one where because you see him, because he's the reason that all the wanted posters fly up into the air in the first place. So he's trying to but like when they read his name, he falls out of the tree. So that one got me.
Jumps at Robin. Nami is so basically, but most of them, like unless stated otherwise, most of them got like the 300 million bump. So Nami's went from like 66 million to 366 million. Brook is 383 million. Frankie is 394 million, and his picture has changed from the General Frankie to just a picture of the Sunny itself, which is an odd choice. I'm wondering if like Frankie's true appearance is kind of being phased out of the public eye, and if that's gonna like play, like if we ever like meet his family, because they were always alluding to like him having a pirate father.
It's also, I think it's sort of similar to Tom. The crime that Tom was wanted for was building the Pirate King's ship. So maybe the ship is the more important thing than necessarily who Frankie is, I guess.
I mean, it's just like, before it was Frankie himself, then it was the General Frankie, which is like fair enough, and now it's just the Sunny.
He's just
more. He's not really a part of Frankie at all.
Yeah, more known for his creations, I guess.
Yeah. God Usopp got up to 500 million. Not really for having done anything in Wano, just because he's God Usopp and he's got to keep pace. Nico Robin is 930 million. So she got a big bump. And then Vince Smoke Sanji, 1,032 million. His wanted poster has reverted back to a sketch, which, like, I had to, like, I think in the manga, you don't really see the Wano poster like straight on, like it's just like a little doodle, and like he does have like the close up like sketch artist face again.
It's just
but now it's time skip. Now it's time skip Sanji.
Just digging the knife a little bit on Sanji. He'll never be a teen idol.
It feels a little off. Like I feel like the Hard Eyes one was good for the New World now.
Yeah.
And then Jinbei, as a former warlord, former associate of Whitebeard and all them, his bounty is 1,100,000,000, meaning that Sanji is now a step lower on the totem pole, and he's having a moment about this.
It's the monster trio. No Sanji's invited.
Zoro is 1,111,000,000, and then we round back up to Luffy, the powerful, terrifying Emperor of the Sea, in a cage, with a swollen face. $3 billion or 3 billion berries.
Which I guess is like what, $30 million. I mean, depending on how much what the yen conversion is these days.
Yeah, just lop off like 2 zeros, basically.
Basically, yeah.
Then we get a little glimpse into what's going on with that cross guild thing between Crocodile, Mihawk, and Buggy. We see Crocodile and Mihawk like showing up at Empty Bluffs, being kind of welcomed by the group, by Buggy's men. And then like once they're in like the private zone where it's just the 3 leaders, Buggy is decapitated, and Crocodile and Mihawk have clearly been like beating him up. Which brings us to the new / old eye catchers. We're going back to the East Blue style, but now the 10-person crew, and it's Jinbei is the first poster you see, and then also we get I think Law was the next one, or is Kid and Law in the second one? And
Kid was the next episode, yeah.
No, so this episode is Jinbei and Law, and then the next episode is Kid and Zoro. That's it.
Right. Yeah.
So we come back from the commercial break, and Crocodile is asking Buggy why he's the one who gets to be considered the boss, and Buggy's just doing his crying, sucking up thing, and then Mr. 3 Galdino is up. He's like, "Oh, Crocodile! I'm so happy to be working with a real man again." So he's very quick to adapt to the new old regime. And we get some flashbacks where Mihawk is remembering when the Marines were encroaching on his island, and he received the call from Crocodile, like, "Hey, dude, let's team up, let's have a thing here." And then also likewise, when Buggy's his crew was being swarmed by the Marines, that's the same time that Crocodile was showing up on Empty Bluffs to collect a debt from Buggy. But to the staff, to Buggy's staff, to Buggy's crew, it just looks like Crocodile and Buggy go way back from Marineford. So, of course, a dude as powerful as Crocodile would help out a dude as powerful as Buggy, right?
I mean, it's kind of implied that Crocodile was the funding for like Buggy's delivery agency, and like Buggy's talking about like, "Oh man, I've had this downturn, all the giants left, man. I mean, I'm good for it, but like, just be cool."
But I have all these mouths to feed, yada yada.
my men, they just love me so much, and that's why they put me on the poster.
So the reason that this whole cross guild came to be as it is that these 3 teamed up. It was supposed to be just Crocodile and Mihawk, really, but like some of Buggy's staff made a poster where Buggy was the prominent one and looked like the leader, and sent it out to the world before asking for approval. And now that's the reputation. That's how the world sees it. And Buggy gets a funny like scream as the camera zooms in, and there's like a match cut to zooming in on Marine HQ, giving us the similar to how we got like kind of the Emperor bounty roll call halfway through Wano. we're getting the updates here. Crocodile is 1.965 billion. Mihawk is 3.59 billion as the world's greatest swordsman. And Buggy, for being seen as the leader of these two, Buggy is a 3.189 million.
I mean, it is
So
interesting.
technically
that Mihawk
slightly
is,
below Mihawk.
Mihawk, yeah. I mean,
Mihawk gets special privileges because he's got the strongest of blank.
yeah, he's got
to
the
his
best
name.
sword. It's interesting that Crocodile got inducted into the Warlords so young, or at such a low bounty, at 81 million. But this is I guess it must have
Hancock goes through the same scaling basically.
Yeah. And I guess his bounty must have gone up after the first time when he escaped from Impel Down. But just seeing this, I just wonder what kind of jump it was. It's huge.
Yeah, this is basically just saying, characters who are still supposed to feel important and like a big deal and relatively strong with all the other characters. Even if it doesn't really make sense that they'd be keeping up with like the Straw Hats right now, it's just sort of Dragon Ball logic where like even the humans, they get a buff just by like kind of being associated with the rest of the cast.
Yeah.
And Mihawk is actually kind of okay with this arrangement. He's like, I'll let Buggy take the heat in my place. I don't want that much attention on me. And then the episode ends with Buggy doing his shtick of rousing the crowd, giving his big speech, looking all imposing and intimidating. But he's crying with fear on the inside. Episode 1087, The War on the Island of Women, a case involving Kobe the hero. And it opens with Marco getting dropped off back on Whitebeard's island. He like hitched a ride with Shanks and crew, and they're kind of bantering. Marco remembers, Yamato and Luffy having their conversation about whether Yamato would join the crew or not, and Yamato has decided to stay behind and sort of help fend off big strong guys like Ryokugyu. And the idea is that like, okay, well now the Straw Hats can sail feeling safe that somebody as strong as Yamato is back on Wano.
Right. Yeah, Yamato couldn't live with himself if Wano got attacked while he was gone. And I guess it's I like that Luffy is also concerned about what happens to it shows more forethought than he usually has, like protecting regarding the safety of
Yeah, I mean,
Wano.
like it's not a thought that he had on his own, but like he understands the reasoning and he respects it. We come to the Isle of Women, and we're getting kind of the story of what was going on when the Marines came to arrest Hancock. We have Lady Neon and Hancock in the forest, kind of talking about kind of the consequences of the Warlord news. The Marines are coming. There's a cool kind of like zoom in shot, like the Marines are getting shot at by arrows, and the camera like zooms in on Margaret and the girls shooting their arrows. But then they're being attacked by what looks to be a strange child version of Hancock, and so there's a new weird, strange problem with a child Hancock who looks like King from the Beast Pirates.
Yeah. She fires off her lasers. Poor Margaret, they got blown up pretty good.
Vice Admiral Yamakaji is sort of overseeing this whole attack, basically, but the Blackbeard pirates are like showing up right on their ass, and Blackbeard's got his weird shades going on again. The shades we weren't sure if they were supposed to be like Aokijis or not.
No.
That brings us to the catch of the episode. And Blackbeard is landing on the island, and he's chilling with Katarina Devon and Vasco Shot. And there's like some Marines surround them, and they're like, Vice Admiral Yamakaji, like we found Blackbeard. But Yamakaji's just like, oh, just wait for HQ to give the signal. And that gives Blackbeard just enough time to earthquake them into oblivion. And we've got some.
It's cool to see the Blackbeards like that. Just you even get to see their like crew dynamics of Katarina Devon's talking about how talking about putting like Hancock's like head on her wall or something like that. Just like and like the Vasco shot has like got more sinister intentions.
Kobe running through town. There's an arrow shot at Helmeppo, but then Kobe's hand shots into the frame and catches it. And Kobe is trying to like negotiate with Hancock over the speaker, and you can see like the big like Luffy poster like in the background of some of these shots. And then like back in the palace, like Hancock's standing to attention, getting out of her seat. Salome the snake just like delivers her heels for her. It's like lifts them up so that she can put them on and get to action. Because nothing says getting ready for a big fight like putting your high heels on.
Well, when you're the Empress, I think it's expected of you.
It's her thing.
Yeah.
We have a similar to the child version of Hancock. We have a kid version of Mihawk, and he's interrupting the Blackbeard pirates. And Blackbeard seems kind of shaken by this. Like he recognizes the characteristics of the Lunarians.
And
like,
the
what?
PX.
He sees the
tattoo.
PX symbol.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a type of pacifista. And he clashes with this Mihawk thing, and he makes a note of the Mihawk being big, and like we're supposed to like it feels like we're supposed to have the dawning realization of the scale of these pacifistas. Mm-hmm. Except like next to Blackbeard, like it's
everyone
the giant Mihawk child just kind of looks about what you would expect him to look.
I like how they have to have.
He doesn't feel big next to Blackbeard.
They had to have Vasco Shot walk in front, I think, of Katarina Devon and Blackbeard, because he's supposed to be so much bigger than both of them, but they're like the same size.
We have a shot of like the gates opening up, so Hancock can confront the Marines, and she's like shooting slave arrows and turning everybody to stone, and we're seeing whose hearts are impure. Yamakaji and Helmeppo are fallen.
Not
and the pacifistas showing up and like Kobe like giving them orders and like fighting alongside them is kind of surreal. Like these very intimidating, just like monster robot things or whatever they are. They're like taking the warlord's jobs, and you got Kobe just like commanding them.
I mean, Blackbeard is, he's expending himself to try and fend off this Mihawk attack. He must be. I feel like he's holding his power back at this point, but he just uses just enough to sort of end the fight. And I don't know. The Mihawk pacifista is smart enough to sort of back away from the darkness powers.
Yeah. Blackbeard's making like the black hole thing. Mm-hmm. And Hancock gets she dive kicks on Kobe and like almost gets him right before Blackbeard interrupts and like grabs her and uses his dark powers to deactivate her devil fruit powers. And we get like these really like strange like skewed title cards that are hard to read, or at least I imagine they'd be hard to read in Japanese, but we get the subtitles. And Marshall D. Teach, his updated bounty now is 3,996,000,000, and Hancock's is 1,659,000,000. And Blackbeard is talking about how it's like, I was hoping to take your devil fruit for myself, and then Hancock's like, well, sucks to be you because you need my beauty to use it at its full potential. Yeah. But things aren't looking good for Hancock or Kobe, and that leads us into the to be continued card.
Yeah, which was they had a flourish on that using the dark powers. That was, I don't know, I felt like the second episode definitely had more, had more flourish like that. I just sort of, getting to play around with the pacifistas and Blackbeard and Hancock. I think the animators were enjoying themselves on this one.
Yeah, there's more like action set pieces, and we're getting like a more fleshed out idea of like what these confrontations between the navies and the the former warlords now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, and also I think the focus in the first episode was more sort of on the comedic scenario of Buggy, how Buggy ends up leading these guys, and it's I think it's just sort of showing a baseline for what the animation is going to be going forward in Egghead. But I don't know, they really did they did go all out, I feel, on the action for what we had in the second episode as well. Just, I don't know, the way Blackbeard was reaching out of the darkness to catch Hancock like that, and the cool bit with the darkness powers and the to be continued. There was a lot to work with there.
Yeah, and I didn't mention it when we were going through it, but like the scene where Crocodile is confronting Buggy in private, and like the super harsh like lighting with the shadows over their faces, and it's like a back room of a mob movie.
Yeah.
Well, Buggy's doing. He's like, "Oh, Croco, baby, we go way back, don't we?" I felt like the second of these two episodes felt decently content heavy. The first of these episodes was like most of it is like bounties, and just sort of now we're finally kind of getting the baseline explanation for what the Cross Guild is all about.
Yeah.
Both I think like solid at a minimum, decently entertaining in their highs, in their high points.
Yeah.
None of these are like exceptional crazy episodes, but like they're doing what they need to do.
Exactly. Yeah, I think they're right where they need to be right now. Because we're about to. This is what we do in between arcs. We sort of have these vignettes of people from around the world, and we need to make them feel fresh. It's interesting to see
our big picture catch up.
Yeah.
Like here's where the status quo is changing now.
And to see like that combination of the Blackbirds was cool too.
Yeah, I thought these all right episodes.
Pretty good, yeah.
Anything else you'd like to say before we move on to the next segment?
No, that's good anime this week.
All right, let's move on.
All right.
This is the Piece Together segment where we take your questions, comments, theories, and discuss why your idea of pizza being anything like Bonnie's Boat enrages me. Ed, what's the first segment? I can't. I still.
Well, Zach, that is Dispiece.
Alex, you're going to do our Dispiece this week.
Yes, I shall do Dispiece this week. And our first Dispiece comes to us from
I think King Doji's. Maybe.
King Doji's, yes. Who says, "Hey OPP, how much focus do you think the other four will get compared to Saturn? Seems like Oda arbitrarily chose one to focus on and be related to Bonnie and Kuma. What about the others? Is Warcury Luffy's maternal grandfather? Did Jupiter cause the hole in the ozone? Great podcasting as always."
Is Warcury Luffy's maternal grandfather? That's the question.
Yeah.
I like Warcury's design. I like all of their designs.
Like his
just
name.
from a design. Yeah, he certainly has a name. I have to find their names again.
But
I
who's
thought
the one who
Saturn
carries
was
the
chosen
sword?
just because he's the science one, right?
That is
Yeah.
correct. Yeah.
That's why we're seeing so much Saturn's, because he has a direct relationship with Vegapunk, and that's what the arc is about. So he's a convenient stand-in for the group as a whole at this juncture.
Yeah, and it's
Science
a reflection
and
of the
war,
escalation
right?
of the powers of One Piece that we're now, a main villain is, one of the top, the five elders of the world.
Yes.
Yeah.
I agree.
I do appreciate how science and war is one and environment is another. If only the real world were like that.
Yeah.
I think it's. I mean, I do wonder if the others are going to get the same kind of focus. It's sort of like when he showed up and we got to see him in action. It sort of reminds me of when we see Aokiji for the first time, and he's the admiral that we clearly know the most about, by a lot. So I don't know. I do wonder if it's just like, oh, here's an introduction to how scary these guys are.
And now he's the one.
Yeah, but at this point, we have actually
like,
seen.
What the fuck, bro?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ed, what were you going to say?
Yeah, that's the one that he's the one that we've seen. So I mean, I was just thinking that Marcus Mars, like, he's got that sword. He's going to do something with that sword. But eventually, like with
That's
the
not
Admirals,
Marcus Mars.
It isn't. Damn it.
No, that's Ethan Barron v. Nostro.
Yeah,
How could you forget that?
But
how could you forget that?
We've learned more about all of the admirals. So I assume even though we know the most about Aokiji, we'll learn more about all of the elders as well. Hopefully,
I mean, so this is our science and defense arc that we're in. Maybe we'll have one. Maybe we have 4 more arcs after this. At least we have one on the environment, one on justice, one on finance, and one on agriculture. Those. If I know anything, I know that the 12-year-old boys in Japan love their finance. Alex, what's the next question?
The next question is from SNP, who says, "Hey OPP, I was thinking of how Oda always has one gut punch near the end of every flashback. Despite we kind of knew what was going to happen in the end, Belmira chooses to refuse to acknowledge that she has daughters. Hiroki eats the poison shroom. Robin keeps calling for her mom despite the fact that Oliva didn't want to respond. That one final show for Laboon, etc. We know Kuma will become a robot and lose his mind, so what is going to be the final gut punch? That one twist that Oda adds salt in the wound. And I was thinking maybe the final one will be involved in his memory. Kuma's power is to push out something, not duplicate them. So after he pushes the memory out, Vegapunk can wipe his memory as much as the world government wants. And after a while, the memory will go back to the host, just like the pain Kuma pushes out. So when Vegapunk tries to stop Bonnie from reaching the memory, it's because he knew the memory will come back to Kuma one day and Kuma will recover his consciousness. But since Bonnie has absorbed it to learn what will happen, Kuma will forever be a robot. I think it's a little... I get that.
I mean, that is the point of keeping the memories in a vault like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't think about that.
Always keep a backup, right? That's the...
I that's possible, but the way I think I remember Vegapunk talking to her, like, he was in the room with her when she decided to do that. He wasn't like, your father will lose his memories forever if you do... Like, why wouldn't he say that in that moment? If that were the case. I think the gut punch may come right after the flashback when we see Kuma coming back from Marijoa, as we know he left Marijoa to somewhere. I assume he has lost a leg and half of his face from Sakazuki, we know. So he's not in a good position at the moment. And we don't know exactly what it is that's pushing him here. But I would be surprised if we didn't see him literally coming into the picture, and I'm sure it will be gut punching. That's my theory, at least.
I have a question. I thought when Kuma takes all the pain out of people, it doesn't like that big ball isn't his memories necessarily. Like the only copy of his memories that's just. Almost a copy. It's the version with the pain, and he has the version without the pain inside him. That was my kind of understanding.
This is such a nebulous power in some way. It's like it's the overpower, it's the sugar issue, it's the, it's how does this work if this and this happens, and there's not really a great answer because it's so complicated.
Because if we wanted to make the most ultimate gut punch, the best thing to do would be to say, hey, Kuma, you've been conscious this whole time. You just have no ability to control your body. So he still has all of his memories, and he's aware of all the terrible things he's doing now that he's full robot.
That is such a Star Trek thing. I can't
Yeah,
remember which
okay.
episode that is, but that
Probably.
it's not a bad. It's not. I agree that would be like the ultimate gut punch, but yeah, it's definitely happened on several episodes. I'm trying to think. What's next, Alex?
Don Quixote, DLLL. Hey OPP, everyone has been thinking about how Kuma will arrive and what he'll do once he gets there, but I think Oda has set up an excellent moment. In Thriller Bark, the first time we get to know anything about Kuma, Oda introduces the idea of zombies that don't have their own will, notably with Hogback and Sindri. Hogback forces her to lick the floor, Chopper manages to get through to her, and she stops for a moment, before later on ignoring Hogback's pleas to save him. And now in this last chapter, we've got Vegapunk bringing up the specific example of what if he were ordered to kill a child. Which makes me think Saint Saturn will order Kuma to kill Bonnie, the cruelest thing he could do once Kuma arrives. Building upon the theme explored in Thriller Bark, Kuma will resist that order and go even further in his defiance by defending Bonnie from Saturn. And they include a page from Thriller Bark, that fight between Hogback and Chopper and Robin. Interesting theory.
I just don't think Kuma is going to be in the position. Saturn seems pretty insanely powerful, and Kuma is not doing so.
Well, Kuma's. Well, I don't think that Kuma's going to win. I think maybe Kuma will show up and buy some time for everybody to escape, and it will be this heart-wrenching thing.
Yeah, that's more likely.
Yeah. He's the knight
Yeah,
at the
I can
end
see
of
that.
Last Crusade.
Yeah.
Yes.
The crumbling lab.
Well,
Wait.
people in the future are yelling at us either that we're right or wrong. So we'll see.
Was there a panel somewhere earlier in this arc where Bonnie was going to get blasted by a Kuma or a Kuma or something, and people someone
Yes.
pulled her away because she was stunned? Yes. Okay.
Yeah, that was the police Kuma.
Okay. Yes. A different
Was
model.
our joke was all Kumas are bastards, but that's obviously not true. Take that back.
Yeah.
What's next, Alex?
What is next? It is Hopkins Hat, who says, "Hey, OPP, how it be? I really wish Bonnie got to use her distorted future powers in the Stampede movie. Oda probably didn't think that far ahead, but everyone got to show off all their cool special moves in that movie. Meanwhile, Bonnie just threatens to turn Bullet into a baby and then gets tossed away." Yeah.
I mean, Bullet
I
is such an overpowered character to begin with. That
Yeah. So,
God, Stampede.
I think
Old
Stampede's a
Stampede.
fun movie.
It's fun, but don't think about it. Don't put any
That's
thought
all of
into
them.
that movie.
All of them. You don't think about all of them.
It's not all of them. That's
No, I think about 6 every day.
yeah.
yeah.
And I think about 11 every day. I
Zed.
think about Zed every day. Yeah. Well, not every day, but
Within reason. Reverse Eye Potato says, "Ornery postal prisoners. We
That's
already
not-
had we already had Bonnie enjoying Jenga from some old SBS or something, but now we have our second official Jenga reference in the series. Sanji used Jenga shot to attack Oars way back when, so we can assume the game is popular in the North or East Blue as well. Who is the One Piece equivalent of Hasbro? Do they make Germa action figures? Since Hasbro owns Wizards of the Coast, does anyone in the Straw Hats play D&D or have a massive collection of Magic cards?"
I mean, it's Walpole, isn't it? He's the only toy company owner that we know of. And
true.
I mean,
Yeah,
he's
that's true.
and he's evil. So
much like most toy company owners.
I mean,
It's
wasn't
one
that
of
the
the
point of
other
the Barbie
godheads.
movie? Yeah.
Wasbro. That's
By the way,
Bubbles.
so I was
Bro.
Hasbro.
not. This is not related to anything, but we've talked a lot about. Remember Bonnie, like who is Bonnie's true father, kind of thing. And I just was looking at Bonnie SBS images, and I did not realize the gender. You know, they did the gender bend thing for each of the supernovas. She looks exactly like Shanks as a male. Take that as you will. But except with the eye piercing. But that raises questions. The half brother thing, I still think is totally possible. Okay, what's next, Alex?
Super Nintendo Chalmers. Do you think Bonnie ever gets tired of these jokes about her giant hand?
The first such instance was.
There it is.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm glad somebody said it. Usopp the Great. Hey over there, OPP. I think the answer is that if you believe in Nika, you have the power of Nika. You have freedom. Wow.
Sure.
If only it were that easy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sometimes the treasure is the journey along the way and the friends we made along the way, you know?
It would make
Sometimes.
believing in God a lot easier.
Okay.
39 NLs on the Moon says, "Hey there, people who choose a podcaster like Future. Do you think the real reason Bonnie is considered one of the supernovas is because identity theft is the most serious crime of all?"
Millions of people suffer every year.
It's true.
It's true.
Wonder if she stole Connie's credit card after all that.
I mean, if if she can age you up, that's really good for forging fake IDs.
It's true.
Oh, that's true.
Oh, wow. She's going to buy some alcohol. Actually, did she when she was... Anyway. Yeah, what's next?
What is next? Wisdom Pythagoras is next, who says, "Hey, OPP, what if Bonnie getting a giant arm after tapping into a Nika-like feature is another potential hint to suggest Joy Boy and or Nika were giants? Happy holidays."
I mean, we're definitely going somewhere with the
Yeah,
Giants
well,
thing. Like,
yeah.
I mean, there's a giant straw hat in the freezer in Mary Choa, so
That's true.
could happen.
Yep.
I mean, why is the Mermaid Princess so large? Who knows?
I don't know,
great
but
question.
can she see why kids love Cinnamon Toast Crunch?
No.
All right. I put pizza into bags because of OPP,
Oh,
says,
Jesus.
"Hey, OPP, Zach, what age do you plan to tell your kid Santa isn't real? And what age do you plan to tell your kid Chopper isn't real? I assume Zach and his family appropriated Chopper's birthday into a Jewish holiday. Also, what age will you let your kid listen to the podcast?"
Okay, so in this order, Santa isn't real. I tell him that every day already. Chopper isn't real. 12. What was the last one? What age will I let my kid listen to the podcast? 46.
Okay,
that
so
answer
I have something to say.
Oh, so when it's
hold on.
over.
I have something to say about this. I got my nephew, who's 9 now, for his 8th birthday, like a little over a year ago. I got him like the first 3, like the first, the 3-in-1 book of One Piece, and he just started reading it recently and decided that he really, really liked it. And my sister let him listen to the podcast. I'm like, why would you do? Why would you do that? It's like, oh. Then I guess we said something that there would be spoilers, and he said, "Oh, I can't listen to this." I'm like, "All right, good. He's smarter.
Whew.
He's smarter than I thought." He learns
Wow.
quickly.
This podcast not for 9-year-olds. Or how old? I'm sorry. There was one other thing here. Oh, with the Santa thing, I'll say quickly that my wife disagrees. My sister-in-law apparently told a lot of her class that Santa wasn't real very early on, and I think fucked a lot of things up for all of them. So
Gentile problems.
yeah, that's what I was telling my wife, but we'll see how that goes. I'll say the one thing I'm learning having a kid is everyone just assumes I care about Santa and that my son cares about Santa, where what he really cares about is the fire truck that Santa is riding in. What's the next question, Alex?
I mean, last question, and that'd be from Sheepman, who says, "Howdy, OPP. MVP of the chapter has to be Connie, right?
Yeah.
It's nice Bonnie had more than just Kuma looking after her. Hopefully her crew and Connie are still alive. My question this week is, in what order do you see each of the potential guests on the Sunny disembark? We have Vegapunks, Bonnie, Stussy, and maybe Kaku and Lucci as captives. Also hoping Sentomaru can be saved."
What do they mean by disembark?
well, they got to go somewhere, right?
Yeah.
After they
Or,
escape.
well,
destroyed,
a
yeah.
lot of them are going to Elbaf. Well, here's a better question. Do we think any of them are going to actually be accompanying the Straw Hats to Elbaf, or do you think they're doomed?
Well, I mean, Elbaf has the O'Hara books, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I could see Vegapunk going there.
Yeah.
I hope. I really enjoy Vegapunk as a character. I'm not saying he is perfect or even good, ethically. But he's a really fascinating, ridiculous, such a One Piece character. I enjoy more of him. I'm curious what voice actor they're going to use for him at the end of the day. Norio
Maybe somebody
Wakamoto's
new.
always there. Just make him stick
True.
his tongue out while he talks instead of
I
rolling
mean,
his
honestly, we should ship Casey over to Japan and have him do it.
Casey's already being shipped to Japan to do more Caesar Clown, I think. I'm still angry that Funimation / Crunchyroll didn't cast you for that.
They can still call me. I'll do it.
Yeah. you hear that? I guess
Anybody
Emily.
strains a vocal cord, you just slide me in. Come on.
You won't even know the difference. That's it for this piece. Steven, got anything over there, the archipelago?
Yeah, we do have one question on the subreddit Archipelago, and that comes from the OP. One blasphemous dude. All right, let's see if this lives up to the name. Hey,
Better be
old
bad.
people. Hey, old people podcast.
Well, that's true.
He is right. Yeah, we were talking about this.
Especially this episode.
Yeah,
Yeah, this is...
Only
We're all
mid-30s
old.
and up.
Yep.
The government agents watching over Bonnie are members of CP8, the third highest ranking Cypher Pool agents. So how come they would let their secret identities slip while going out drinking? I mean, come on, you're supposed to be the highly trained agents. And who do you think let it slip? I assume it was Alpha. Cheers and keep up the work. Well, it's hard to say since we only have one character. We saw one guy from a very long distance, and then, yeah. I don't know. Well, I mean, you think about it, like this has got to be I feel like a real low priority assignment for them. Like they're just hanging out at a church playing pretend nurse for a little girl for an entire year. So I wouldn't be surprised if, they just develop alcoholism problems, and let slip things that they shouldn't have talked about.
You did say that you're listening to the Old People podcast. So with the wisdom of Connie, I'm going to let you know that real intelligence failures happen like this all the time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nothing to add to that. We had one email. So Ed, if you want to introduce our quick email segment here.
Oh, yeah, Zach. Do you want to answer some emails?
Yes, thank you, Strong Bad. How do you no, you know what? I'm done. Ryan says,
How do I do that? How do I do that voice with these boxing gloves on my hand?
I was going to say something like that. Yeah. Ryan says, "Hey there, OPP. Great chapter today, and had great satisfaction watching Alpha get her shit wrecked. I hope your nephew didn't hear that. Something that I want to happen next year is for Hancock and her Seraphim meeting for the first time. They look at each other, then at Luffy." Autocorrect made that Puffy, and I was thinking of the face from earlier. And then back to each other and go, "Stay away from my man." How do you think the other ex-warlords would react to their respective Seraphim?
What did Jinbei do?
Oh yeah, Jinbei did. Oh no, they never. Did they actually interact? I mean, I know they were in the same building, but I don't know if they.
Yeah.
They were in the same room even at one point, but I don't think Jinbei ever made a comment about it.
Well, I
I
mean,
don't remember version.
actually, I was watching the anime this week, and the Hancock Seraphim comes very close to the actual Hancock. I'm not sure if they actually saw each other.
I imagine she would be freaked out but impressed.
Which one has the "this is what it's like when doves cry" reaction?
I don't know. The Mihawk seems pretty
nerdiest?
sad.
He does, but he tries to act like he's cool, and I don't think that would be different with a younger version of himself.
Yeah, Crocodile would take his as a mini-me.
Oh God, yeah. Like, I have an evil organization I want to create, and I want you to be a part of. I'm not going to pay you.
He'd be he'd be stoked.
Yeah, you're too young. I can't pay you. I'll pay you in candy. What other? Gecko Moria might do the Millhouse thing.
Oh yeah.
Like that's a pathetic guy. I think at the heart of things there. I wonder, with this Kuma flashback, a little bit about the Kuma Seraphim. Especially with like the Buccaneer blood and also maybe the kindness in the genes, because we know some personality traits make it through. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, they seem like they were pretty much locked into the authority hierarchy. There was not a whole lot of disobeying going on with that. So I don't know how much. I don't know how likely Kuma was S-Bear would be to break out.
Yeah, me neither. Oh, I think that's it. So that'll do it for the Piece Together segment. Let's round off.
Isn't there some? Are there any Reddit questions?
Yeah, we did it.
We did it.
There was the one.
That was it.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, we could find more. No, that'll do it for Piece Together. Let's round off. And trivia? Maybe? Let's find out. This has been 2023 for the One Piece Podcast, episode 799. This has been a really amazing year at the podcast. I think I'm going to try and do a more of a retrospective later in the year because I don't want to bog down the episode too much more. But that being said, I want to huge thanks to Miles and Casey, obviously, for coming on this week, and just all of the amazing assortment of guests we've had over the last 50 or so episodes this year. It's been a very, very eventful year, and next year, I could guarantee you, is going to be even more eventful and surprising as we celebrate our 800th episode and our 15th anniversary of us doing this somehow. Yeah, excited for all that. We'll talk more about that as we get a little closer. First, Miles, you wanted to talk a little bit about a collaboration that happened that I completely forgot to mention.
Yeah. So Cloud9 did a really cool One Piece collaboration down in LA. On Saturday, they had a pop-up shop, and you can still buy a lot of the items online. And the designs are really, really good. So I highly encourage you all to check them out. I have certainly filled up my cart.
Where were the pop-up shops? Or was it online too? Or I can't remember.
Yeah, the pop-up shop was in downtown LA. I don't know quite where. And I'm a little far from there. So I was thinking about going down, but didn't quite make it. But the online shop is on Cloud9. I can give you the link for the show notes.
Sure. I'll throw that in there. Thank you, Miles. And Miles, where can people find you?
Generally, you can't. I'm currently on an anime sabbatical. So, no, you can find me on x.com, also known as twitter.com, at real_kilometers.
Yeah, Miles taking his anime break by joining us to talk about One Piece, as we mentioned. Is it?
You can't
anime?
keep me away from One Piece.
No, I guess. Why would we? Why would we want to? Casey, what about you? Where can people find you?
You can find me for now on Twitter for however long that lasts at Minovsky Article. You can also email me at minovskyarticle@gmail.com. And if you find somewhere else on the web with someone called Minovsky Article, as long as they seem fairly chill, that is probably me. And you can find me online posting about manga, games I'm playing, more often than not birds I've seen.
I like it. I want to.
And and this is where I'm just going to really quickly advocate for Rob Lucci's Pigeon Hattori as the next Straw Hat Pirate.
I know this is an old man podcast because I could really talk to you about birds for a while. Or bird watching. Anyway, Stephen, where could people find you?
I am on Blue Sky. If you're there, you can find me at stephenpaul.besky.social. And that's pretty much it. There is And I know One Piece is off next week. There is an issue of Jump, so Akane Banashi will still be coming out. And then everything will be back in 2 weeks with the
on Christmas
the
Day.
double. Yeah,
It's a miracle.
Exactly. A very special issue.
I don't understand why Jump is publishing then. And I don't think you have the answer to that question, Stephen.
Nope.
It's just very odd. At least you don't have to work on that day, just the days leading up to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Alex, where could people find you?
I'm on Twitter at Dude Exclamation. Also, Weeb Simpsons is there. Also, Weeb Simpsons is on Blue Sky. Also, I'm on Blue Sky at Dude Exclamation. So that's it. I'll be at MagFest. If you're coming, I'll be there doing Super Art Fight and generally having a good time. So,
Cool.
Yep.
Thank you, Alex. Ed, where could good people find us?
Well, you are Zach Logan on Blue Sky, right? Is that how it goes?
Zach.onepiecepodcast.com.
There you
It's
go.
every week.
And I'm Edward E. on Blue Sky. Podcasts can be found at the new and improved OnePiecePodcast.com. Our email address is OnePiecePodcast@gmail.com. You can subscribe on YouTube. You can subscribe on SoundCloud. You can subscribe on Spotify. Please support us on Patreon, patreon.com/OnePiecePodcast. Subscribe, rate, and review on Apple Podcasts, and call us on our phone number, Zach.
That phone number is 347-497 Maji.
Maji.
That phone number again. Thank you. That phone number again, 347-497-6254. Call anytime
Anytime.
for your questions, comments, theories, or why you have to be related to someone to get into any cipher poll these days. We haven't done this trivia in a while, but I think it's a really fun one, and you don't need to really know too many specific things. So this is the One Piece Chapter 1000 popularity poll, so from a few years ago now, believe it or not. All I'm going to do is ask you to pick a number, each of you, and I'm going to say the two around that number, and you tell me which of the two is more popular. So it's 50-50. We'll go in the order we did the chapter, and the first 1 to 3 wins. Ed, pick a number. Any number until, what's the bottom one? Like 909, something like that. 1,000
Okay.
something.
I will go
I'm sorry,
with
1172. Yeah, go ahead.
I will go with 888.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
Doing this
888.
Normally you
Yeah.
do like a randomizer.
No, I know, but I'm letting you guys do it. Okay, there is no 888 because of all the ties, but I'll do 886 and 896, where there's a lot of ties, but I'll find...
Oh.
Okay, so which is more popular? I'm trying to see which of these people's names I know. Okay, so
Making this
which
hard
is
on
more
you.
popular? Giola, which is Steven's favorite character from Dressrosa.
From Dressrosa.
Yeah, why is this so low on the list? I don't understand.
It's in the 800s. Or is it the unicorn in Montdoor's book? The zebra unicorn in Montdoor's book.
I'll go with the zebra.
No, Giola.
No,
Just
all right.
by the 1 point. Sorry, Ed. Alex, pick a number.
57.
Okay, now we're making it easy on me. 57. Who's more popular, Ulti or Koala?
Ulti.
Correct. Alex knows what people were thinking in 2021. Steven.
Okay, you
Pick a
said
number.
1172 is the max.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. Random known gem. 278. Okay, that's probably a pretty good one.
Yeah, that is probably a good one. 278 is... Okay. Oh, God, what's her name? The guard in Impel Down with the eye patch.
Sadi
Domino?
Or Domino, yeah.
Domino, that's it. Or the girl whose smoker's pants eat the ice cream of.
Oh,
I don't know how to
the
phrase
girl,
that
yeah.
sentence. Yeah.
I forget what her name was.
She has a name. It's in Japanese. I don't know what it is.
Yeah. So Domino or the girl who loses her ice cream.
Yeah.
Give me a girl who loses the ice cream.
No, I'm sorry. Domino just beat her out. Miles, pick a number.
80.
Okay, 80. What do we got here? Who's more popular? Is it Ivankov or Bellamir?
Ivankov.
Correct.
Yeah.
Miles gets a point. Casey.
That's pretty high for Bellamir, honestly. I'm surprised.
Yeah, I'm surprised too.
I'll pick the end of my episode number. So that's 99.
That is your new lucky number. 99. Oh, this is perfect here. Who's more popular? Shushu, the dog from Orangetown, or Bartholomew Kuma?
Oh gosh. I would assume Kuma? Bartholomew Kuma?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
You're correct. But only by 2.
Yeah, perhaps that changes after the flashback. We'll see.
Yeah, Kuma stocks are rising.
Yeah, I'm sure that'll change. Ed, pick a number. You could use a number generator if you don't. Yeah.
I'll go with 151.
151. Who's more popular?
That's Mewtwo.
Yeah, exactly.
Who's more popular, Tyrannosaurus the mouse or Tom from Tom's Workers with a Don?
I want Tom to be more popular.
No, Tyrannosaurus the mouse is more popular, Ed. You have 0 points. Alex, pick a number.
You got to stop reading them in the same order. The first one is always the more popular one.
I'll go back and. Well, now what am I going to do now?
230.
You put me in a real situation here. 230. Who is more popular? Branch? I'm sorry, I mean Brule or Lafitte?
Brule.
No, Lafitte is the correct answer. Steven.
Wow.
I know, I'm also surprised.
The feet.
Yes.
Yeah.
French for the feet.
Lafitte. That's just...
This time, it's going to be 373.
373. By the way, this is not related, but I thought there was a second Bartholomew Kuma. No, that's a pacifista, I'm pretty sure. 373. All right, who is more popular? I think we spoke about both these characters this week. Rebecca, or is that Rebecca? Wait, because could it be Scarlet?
She's not that
too?
down low.
It could be her mom too. I think it's Rebecca. I think it's actually Scarlet, or that's her mom, right? Or Clover. Professor.
Man.
Clover. Because I have to assume Rebecca's higher than the 300s, right?
I would hope so.
And they look identical.
Yeah,
so,
that's true. Yeah, because we only saw Scarlet when she was
to
pretty
be
young.
fair. Rebecca. Oh, yeah, Rebecca is 68, by the way.
Okay, there you go.
Almost
yeah, that's definitely
nice,
Scarlet
but not
then.
quite. Yeah.
Scarlet or Clover? Let's go with Clover.
Correct.
Okay.
Steven's in the game. Miles.
111.
Who's... Oh, God. What the hell is the fly's name that always makes the list?
Oh, Bocce?
Bocce.
The one from the
that
soup?
Was yeah, that's the fly in the... So who is more popular? The fly in the soup at Baratier that, what is it, Sanji put in there? Or
No, it's full
Oh,
body.
that's full bodies.
Yeah, full
Yeah.
body soup. Yeah.
Yeah, doing the backstroke. Or is it Kyros? Who's more popular?
The Fly.
No, Kyros. Truly shocking. Casey.
63.
All right. By the way, if you miss this, I'm going to make the next round the last round because I want to go on forever. 63. Who's more popular? Is it Dragon or Beppo?
It's gotta be Dragon, right?
Correct.
Wow.
Okay.
I'm surprised.
So everyone has one. Casey has 2. I'm gonna give. Ed, go ahead. What number?
Oh, sure. 28.
28 is it Gold Roger or Smoker?
Smoker.
Correct.
Okay.
Ed, you're in it. Alex, number
35.
35. Is it Buggy the Clown or Kuzan?
Kuzan.
No. Always root for Buggy, Alex.
I normally would, but I second guessed.
Steven.
Oh boy, is this the same number? 866.
No, I don't think we did 866.
Well, I think it's probably in that same range of numbers. Let me get another
Yeah,
one. Okay,
It
188.
is. No, but I was going to say there's so many ties when you get that low. 188. Okay. Speed or Otama?
Oh
or-
wow,
Otoko. I'm sorry.
Otoko, okay,
That's
all
the
right.
laughing.
that would have been quite a connection
I'm
there.
I'm rereading Wano and I forgot. Otoko means man. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, I think it's speed.
Correct.
All right.
Steven is 2. Miles.
42.
42. Who's more popular, Diaz Drake or Rob Lucci? Nope. Diaz Drake. Casey, for the win, pick a number.
199.
199. I'm going to tell you 199 itself, which is not the one I'm asking, is Toadsop. That's the frog on top of Usopp's head from Wano. Who is more popular, Porcas de Rouge or Chimney, the girl from Water 7?
I'm gonna just go Rouge, I guess.
Nope, Chimney.
Okay.
So we have a tiebreaker, Steven and Casey. Steven, why don't you go first?
Okay. Whoops. I don't want to do 1021. Let me get one. All right. 284. Have we done that?
284. We have not. There's some ties. So there is actually no 284. So this is perfect. Who? I know someone listening. Who is more popular? These aren't exactly one after the other. Fake Chopper. So that's the actual
The fox.
What is that?
Fox.
Fox.
Yeah, his name
With
is
the
just Fox.
mustache. Or is Flampe more popular?
Man. I'm going to guess Flampe.
Correct. I hear one person cheering.
Yeah.
Casey.
Just one.
Trying to think of a random number, and I'm trying to think of somebody like a number within the hundreds because I feel like I'll never know those characters still. 42.
42. That's the lucky number. Who is? Oh, we did 42 already.
We did? Okay.
Yeah, that was the Lucci Diaz Drake.
Okay. 52.
52. Who's more popular, Sakazuki or Pell?
Pell.
Correct.
Oh my god.
All right, we're still tied. Steven.
Wait, Pell's that high?
Yeah, I don't get it either.
Yeah. It's very popular.
Yeah, when you survive. I
He
guess.
cheated death.
Yeah, I was gonna say, maybe he cheated this too.
64.
64. We're going to get a winner here at some point. Who is more popular, Kaido or the Thousand Sunny?
Oh, wow. Thousand Sunny.
Correct.
Yeah, that is correct.
Okay. Casey. I know. Casey, for the tie,
103.
103. Who is more popular, Baby 5 or Captain Kuro?
Baby 5?
Correct.
Gee,
Steven. Pick a number. We're going to have a
right.
winner here at some point.
Yeah. Let me click. I don't want one that's all the way down at the bottom. It wants to give me. Okay, 342. That'll be interesting.
By the way, I see Gyokyo here.
I-
He's way back.
I love Stephen setting a handicap for himself as I just blindly guess.
Oh crap! How did I forget the name of Mr. Four's dog?
Lasso.
Lasso. Thank you. Who was more popular, Lasso or Fukuro?
Lasso.
Oh, is that the right one? The big zipper mouth guy.
Yeah, that's
it's Fukuro.
Yeah, okay, I was right.
I'm gonna vote with my heart, and that's definitely Lasso.
Your heart is correct once again. For the tie, Casey.
All right, I want to find a character that I have no recollection of whatsoever. 500.
We'll find you one, I'm sure. There are plenty here I have no recollection of. 500. Okay. Who is more popular? That flat skyfish, the one with the teeth that I think they pick up early on in their journey.
The one that goes into Usopp's pants.
Yeah, I believe that is the one that goes into Usopp's pants. That one or the Sanji zombie dog thing.
Oh, I'm gonna bet with my heart and say the flat skyfish.
Nope.
All right,
Steven is our winner. That should have been the answer.
Yeah.
But sometimes the weird Sanji dog zombie has to win. Good job, Stephen.
Yes.
You need to pay up.
Yes, I will pay up. What's our prize for Egghead? We never did one. Eggs? Should I ship some eggs to you?
Eggs, yeah. I mean, they're trying times. We can.
I was going to make that joke if we did. I will offer you an egg in these trying times. As we end 2023, I think we all need a good egg or two. Thank you all for coming on the show today. This was a really fun one. Next week, we have some special 4Kids flashback for you, and I'm hoping to do maybe a slight retrospective or something for the year, since I realized we didn't really get a chance to do that. So either next week or the week after, hope to throw that in one of those episodes. Anyway, until 2024, everyone, my name is Zach.
My name is Ed.
And my name is Alex.
Goodbye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
see you in 899.